I'm gonna mute you till you get back. Hey Bram, how's it going? Hey the fly. So I might not be around. I'm just a little tired. I got some work to do. But Eric's calling his mom, so he'll be on in a bit. Hey Ellis, hey Angel. Let's see. Do we have everything ready? I think everything's good.
Hello there. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Oh boy, how are you doing, chat? I have no idea if my mic is coming through at all.
Yep, you're good.
Alright, it is. Okay.
By the way,
Snork is here. Snork! Oh, and Broken Carpenter. Yes!
Oh yeah, I'm always. I mean, if as long as I can set up the phone it's charged, I can be here because I'm always right here.
Oh boy. Oh, 4th of July is almost here. It's marking I don't know how many years of American imperialism.
I think what would be cool is Tim gets his 100,000th subscribe on the 4th of July, the Independence Day, because he's independent media, right? It makes total sense.
I think that would be the spirit of 1776, 2017, something like that. 100 and what is it? 141 years.
141 years.
241, right? 76. Yeah, 241. That isn't really that isn't really one of those big anniversary times like the golden anniversary or anything.
All right, so the just a quick snippet so you can see Snork is crazy. He I've never seen a recipe done in a flow diagram design.
What?
That's Snork's recipe. He made a flow diagram of his recipe.
That's
actually it didn't show.
That's actually not a bad idea. I'm surprised nobody had thought to do that before.
It does make a good amount of sense. The timing and everything.
And the control of your waste streams.
What was that?
In your control of your waste streams. I don't know waste except for the rinds to be composted.
I don't know. Well, rinds are usually pretty good for composting.
Right, but that was the last step, was compost the rinds.
Oh, yeah.
Use the rinds as the plate and then compost them afterwards.
I just laughed at that. It was pretty funny. Bram says, "Holy shit!"
I haven't got my ingredients yet, but I think I've got my ideas. So,
how am I going to beat your flow diagram idea, Snork? Am I going to have to come up with some type of? I'll create an alt currency with the blockchain recipe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Can the others see my recipe?
Yeah, I put it out there so they can see on the YouTube. Do you want me to put it back? I didn't want to show for too long because I didn't want to give away your recipe.
Yeah, I did.
Snork.
Oh, I think by now it's nothing to give away.
Yeah, I guess true. They could find it if they wanted to.
Fair enough. Another day. Another day. So, what has been going on in the news? Apparently Trump is now being investigated. officially of justice. So that's a thing that's happening right now. I'm not sure what to make of that, other than they either found something really damning, or they're at the point where they're just needing something in order to get him out.
What was that? Oh, that's you posting it, Snark. Oh, that's Snark posting his flow diagram of his recipe.
Oh, is that the flow diagram? Wow, this is so utilitarian. I thought like it was like this elaborate with graphics, but no, it's literally just like a programming flow chart. Oh, that is brilliant. That is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
I think the only thing you're missing is like the timing of like how long if you're cooking it, how long you're cooking it. That's
Yeah.
Details, minor details. You can just put that in marker.
I'm waiting to see it in its binary language before I make any judgments.
Oh,
did
Forsaken Champion. Do we have a new?
Companion, not champion.
Oh, so excuse
FC.
me. Well, we're upgrading you.
The one news that I saw was the Governor Christie. He
yeah, he closed the beach.
And he went out with his family and was all alone on that closed beach.
Wait, I thought the headline said it wasn't for his family.
Well, it was his family and some friends, but it was like, 10 of them sitting on the beach, and there's nobody else. And then you go where the cutoff line is for where the public beach, where the accessible beach is, and the state park beach, and it's nobody on the beach and a zillion people on the public access stuff.
God damn.
Yeah, it was bizarro.
Like, I thought the whole Bridgegate thing was really ridiculous, but it seems like in New Jersey, politicians just get to make shit up as they go along.
Well, I mean, Chris Christie has no real political career anymore. I mean, as far as like running for anything.
No,
he's like already infamously low in his approval ratings in his state, and in a state where it's pretty easy to have low approval ratings.
Approval ratings don't mean anything. You can
like,
still win.
But to be fair, and I don't like being fair to Chris Christie.
Not Chris Christie. I mean, when he's like vehemently disliked in that state.
It doesn't matter how hated you are. You can still win.
Yeah.
That's the way our system is. Look at Trump and Hillary. Who would ever thought Trump or Hillary was going to be president? The two most hated people.
If you could do it anywhere, you can do it in Jersey. I have to agree there.
No, you could do it in Jersey. You can do it anywhere in America.
He's probably going to win again if he wants to rerun as governor. It's just the way it's
I don't know why he'd want to. Though. It's just
power.
Just like. Well, yeah, but to what end? Like, this is as far as he's ever going to be.
Exactly what he did. He gets a lot of money. He gets whatever he wants, paid for by taxpayers. Wait, dude, why am I always being talked over tonight? Is there something going on?
No, I thought that there were term limits in New Jersey.
I don't know.
I think that is. I think he isn't running because of that. But he could win. I mean, you're right. He has the power, but
Does he really have the power, though? Because, I mean, who has the power? Who has the power in the Republican Party now? I mean, the Kochs could drive him out easy.
Oh, hello, Carmen.
Hey.
Hi there. Hey, how's it going?
She even has her hat ready.
This is our version of the Orini Skull Man.
Is it all in view? Yeah, I haven't flat ironed my hair yet or put any makeup on or anything, so you're just going to look at my creepy mannequin on a pedestal with a hat.
Well,
don't worry, Steph. Same here.
don't.
Oh, well, Evan, I mean, some people are just more comfortable in their skin, you know? Like, you look great without makeup or your hair flat ironed. You have natural silky hair, you know? Like, mine's frizzy. You can see the end of how frizzy it is here, see?
Well, look at it this way, Carmen. This is hardly the most absurd thing I've ever seen somebody use as a prop for their videos. I'm talking as a person who's seen a guy who used to be associated with Gamergate, who literally in every video he did, he would bring this plastic skull and set it right next to his table that he was sitting next to. It's just to make him seem like this dark, edgy warlord.
I'm not really going for dark, edgy warlord. I'm going for, I don't know, avant-garde Beetlejuice, maybe? I'm not really going for anything except for Goofy.
Are you the bear or the head?
I am the head. The bear is my friend.
Oh, hello.
He helps me get things done.
I noticed we had 2 people
Hey,
come
Kevin,
in.
how's it going?
This is proof that Comey's been looking for, that Russia hacked the election. This friend, my bear friend, has been hacked all along the whole time. It's been me and the bear. We're fancy and cozy bear or whatever. So that's the big plot reveal. Not for real, in case the NSA or CIA is watching us.
Curse you, Siberia!
So
All right.
I've been gone for a week getting some work done, and I missed a whole bunch, and I'm just curious. Like, I just watched No Sellouts, and I'm like, what happened? They're fighting again? Like, what is
No, it's just...
No, I thought he was just getting better. Jimmy was, like, shouting out Tim on his thing, on his video. I was like, oh, cool. Everybody's back to normal. No, they're not. Okay. So, I'm lost. But see, I saw Nina... I just started getting to catch up, and I watched the Nina show yesterday, but I didn't get to be able to stick around. And then today I watched the No Sellouts, but I'm just completely lost on what happened in the last week. So I'm wondering if you guys can catch me up.
There hasn't been a whole lot.
Not too much.
There's been too much and not a whole lot at the same time. It's just we've been living in this like weird nega zone where everything is happening and nothing is happening at all. The most exciting news the last week was, God, I can't even remember now.
Trump said something mean about Mika and Joe.
Well, I was.
Oh no!
Yes. Oh.
Why would anyone do that about Mika and Joe?
Well, because they said mean things about the president, and it was the first time ever anybody's ever said anything mean about a president on television.
Oh,
you know, Trump is the first president to ever have anybody in the media against him. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
Poor victim Trump. Poor victim Mika and Joe. Oh no.
Yeah. No, you know what? It's a trigger battle. That's what everybody's triggered. You know, the most hilarious one though was CNN getting like hyper triggered because of a WWE meeting.
No, that was funny, and that was obviously a joke. And I hate Trump, but like, come on, people, what is with these humorless jagoffs? You know, like they're super oversensitive. They're either oversensitive or they're faking being offended.
Yeah.
They're fake triggering.
There's a difference
Drama
between
queen.
actively attempting to threaten people and them doing silly memes.
If they cared about attacks on the press, why haven't they said anything about the John Levine guy? inciting people to murder Julian Assange. I'm like, what the F? You know, I wrote this whole
Those people are fucking crazy.
Honestly, that's
case for droning John Levine, and I never published it because after I wrote it, I was like, this looks too dark. You know, like, and all I did was take the exact same thing he wrote and make it John Levine instead, and slightly switch it with an argument as to why he was a threat to the freedom of speech and First Amendment, where, you know, his case for droning is obviously the ramblings of a madman because he's also in the press, and for the good of the nation, we should drone him. But he wanted to do it next to a store that would kill innocent people in Britain. So we need to like zone in with a tranquilizer dart of like hydrochloride, like, you know, like this deadly chemical, and just shoot, just get him when there's no other people around. And I was like, after I read it, I was like, you know what, this is really twisted, and I'm not gonna publish this. Like, it's just like it makes you like realize just how badly the mainstream media has us brainwashed. Like, even when we're not brainwashed, like, it's still not offensive, the things that they do repetitively. Like, they're making death threats against Julian Assange every day, so it's kind of normal, you know? Like, even when you're offended, it's sort of like, oh, here they go again. But when you flip it around on this, you know, the same person who did it, it's like, wow, this looks really dark, but it was really dark before. Does that make sense, you know?
No, and frankly, it's not even the most offensive WWE meme related to Trump. I thought that the most offensive one was from the Iowa caucus, where literally right outside of a polling station, you had a guy dressed up as Donald Trump power fighting a bunch of costumed Mexicans.
God.
It's in WWE style.
Oh, I missed that.
I thought that was much more offensive than this, because they actually had to stage that, for one, instead of just like photoshopping a CNN head on top of it.
This is all, it reminds me of the Truman Show, except for it's not just one person that they're doing this to. It's all of us, you know? Like, it's like this crazy, you know, like, it's obviously fake, and they're going like, no, this is the real world. We wouldn't do that to you. Like, it's a big freaking conspiracy against the American people, and some of the American people are like, hey, wait a minute, this is a load of bullshit, you know? Like, and the other people are like, no, you're just being paranoid. And it's like, you know, the Matrix thing is such a cliche thing to say, but more and more it's like, this is just so nuts. Like, how do people just not see this? I guess they're too busy working, but it's so obvious now. Like, they're not even trying to hide it.
I'd be tempted to make the Matrix reference too, but the MRAs have ruined that red pill comment.
I know, it's like, and they're just beating it to death, you know? Like,
I've taken the red pill. The feminists are going to destroy Ghostbusters.
Well, that movie was pretty bad, but
it was
awesome.
But Ghostbusters was already in a shithole before they came in.
Ghostbusters
Whoa, now.
is a good movie. You're going into dangerous territory.
No, the franchise
to have a serious
franchise as a whole.
Now I'm triggered.
No.
Like,
I haven't even seen
no, the franchise. Ghostbusters 2 was not that good. Let's be honest here for a second here. Ghostbusters 2 was not that good.
Okay, well, those don't exist. I'm just talking about the original movie.
Yeah, the original movie was really good.
Okay,
so do we want to go ahead and go to Anything Goes right now?
No one disputes the original film. It's everything that came after that was kind of crap.
I thought we were going to have some problems, but we're okay.
Are we going to talk about any independent news before we go to Anything Goes?
Oh yeah,
we already went in Anything Goes territory, didn't we? Sorry about that. Got off topic.
I just want to mention, I don't know if anybody heard about it, but Supreme Court Justice is talking about retiring. So I think it's Kennedy. He's going to be 84 by 2018, I think it is.
Wait, which Kennedy?
So Anthony, is it Anthony Kennedy?
Oh, the non-Kennedy Kennedy.
Yeah, the Supreme Court Justice. He's talking retirement now. They snuck it in underneath all the WWE and the Russia. I think the Washington Post is where I saw it. They made a very subtle.
It's like rumor and stuff, and he didn't really make any real statements.
Not yet.
But I think it's one of those political things too, you know, plant the seed out there, you know, and make it seem like he is, even if he isn't. You know, it could be one of those. But yeah, I heard that too, and that's bad because he's sort of the deciding vote on these close decisions. So, I mean, you know, it isn't losing.
It could be
like losing a Ginsburg, but it's like losing a deciding vote on close votes. You know, he's the vote towards sanity most of the time.
It could be a fear, you know, a fear thing, getting all the, you know, the dim exiters all scared crapless, so that they start, you know, voting for Democrats to try to block the, you know, block whoever they're going to nominate. I don't know.
Right.
You know, but I mean, there are enough people. There's, you know, Ruth Ginsburg is talking about it too. I mean, there are other people there that were thinking about it, so we're not completely safe, even if he didn't retire.
Well, everybody tells Ruth Ginsburg. Everybody talks to Ruth about Ruth Ginsburg like she talks like she's retired. Every time I've seen her speak, she said, "I could still think." You know, she's still real lucid, man. She's not like one that's she's beat cancer and shit. She ain't gonna, if she doesn't want to, she ain't going anywhere, you know, unless they carry her out fee first. You know, that's just the way it is.
I think she don't want to give Trump another
I mean,
guy.
She'll hang on at a pure just old dog mean kind of hanging on, if that's what she's got to do to stay in until after Trump, you know. I mean, even if it's another Republican, I think she would feel differently than giving another Supreme Court choice to him, you know.
Right. Even if it was Jeb.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there are some things that her being won't put up with. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's all I got. There wasn't much going on this week. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too. Everybody's talking about everybody else's approval ratings, where, you know, Kellyanne Conway, her approval rating is 20%, but mainstream media is a 6. So she wins.
Neither of them
I didn't really
comparing.
I'm
at 20 compared to your 6. 20's still pretty shitty.
How do you get to 6%? 6.
Here's the thing: who trusts anybody who does polls?
Right.
I don't trust any of that. That's my point. I heard 6, and I heard 14, then I heard 28. So I'm like,
well, I mean that can be. To be fair, that could be a result of just a difference in sampling size and sampling locations.
Oh, absolutely.
So depending on where and how you collect your samples, that could drastically affect the results you get.
It could also come down to how the questions are asked.
That's true too.
I looked for the lowest one was Breitbart, and then there were the higher one I think was Fox. I didn't see anybody, you know, nothing from AP or anything like that. So I didn't trust any of it, to be honest with you.
Quick sound check.
Yep.
Test.
Yes.
You're good.
Thank you.
I'm listening. I
Hello
just
from
talked
the
so much I
fly.
didn't want to interrupt the next person.
Welcome, the Fly.
Oh, this is somebody new coming in. Hello, Fly.
He's buzzed in before.
It's someone's
I didn't
alter
hear your
ego.
question.
Got another interesting character here. So I'm not the only one doing the weird well, he's doing an actual mask. I'm just not in the mood to be seen tonight. When I get dolled up.
How's it going, Bram?
Going. Anybody got anything else they want to add in? I had something I wanted to say about pragmatism, if anybody wants to hear it.
Yes.
Pragmatism.
Let's do it.
Go for it.
Well, this kind of goes back to what that guy Ben was saying
On Saturday?
days ago. Yeah, I think it was on Saturday. And you know, I thought about it. It's pragmatism that got us to this point. And the reason why I say that is if you go back and you look at a particular president who saw the money that the Republicans were getting from the oil companies and decided that the best way to combat that would be to pragmatically find a large enough pool of money that could answer for it, and that was Wall Street. It's a very pragmatic solution, but it's what got us to where we are today.
But is where we are today good?
No, not by a lot.
Not at all.
Oh, that's the point you're saying, is that
Right.
I thought you were making a case for like, look how much progress we've made thanks to Wall Street. I'm like,
The exact opposite.
I for one welcome my financial overlords.
No.
What's happening? Okay, now I get you. Okay.
Okay.
I don't actually welcome my financial overlords.
What I'm saying is that we had somebody in office whose entire point was to be the pragmatic president, the pragmatic head of the country, and his pragmatism led us to exactly where we're at today. Another case in point is that he thought it would be very pragmatic to balance the budget and end his term in office with actually a surplus, which, if you know anything about how our economy runs, is the exact opposite of what you want to do. You don't want to end with a surplus. That's money that's not going back into the economy to fund things that we actually need. And that's why shortly after he left office, we went into a recession.
No, that makes sense.
Pragmatism is what got us to right where we're at.
But would people admit that? That's the question.
No, I don't think a lot of people would until they took a hard look at it.
And therein lies the problem, no?
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to say that like as a point against you. I think that speaks a lot about the what we've been taught to accept from a general perspective. Think of it like this. God, I don't know if my mic is going to work if I try and take this off, so fuck it. Well, I mean, we exist within a game space where realism has been the predominant ideology, or I guess guiding light for our general modem of discourse for the past at least 30, 40 years. That's probably different versions of it had come across and with different names throughout the decades with different propositions behind them. But the one we live with right now is the school that's okay. I shouldn't be making too much broad because my understanding of ethical philosophy is and the history thereof is a little limited. But at least for the 30, 40 years, in terms of how we've approached foreign policy, how we approach economic policy, how we approach environmental policy, it's been guided with the school of realism, which I think realism is a perfectly fine and legitimate one in its own right when it's used to certain useful ends. Like, you do not want to recklessly push yourself to making grandiose promises and that you do not have the resources to capitalize on. You see this with video game developers all the time who hype their feature list for their games, and then when it comes to release time, they end up being a giant flop because those features are either half completed or it's pushed so far back into backstage development that they're trying to pass it off as downloadable content later down the line. Thank you very much, No Man's Skies. all this to say, what we need to recognize though is that we need to move away from this school of this mantra that oh my God, James. I'm trying to make a serious point and you come in with that.
Hold on. We got to bring the mannequin head back. To close this up, though, my broader point is we need to not just live within the realm of what is of what we can do right now. Like, I'll be honest, like, my idealism is not feasible as it is right now. I cannot hope for a stateless capitalist society to flourish in the system we have right now. The working class is too split up. There are too many people who are still hesitant to agree to living without a governing body to administer the society. I cannot hope for that. What I can still hope for, however, is that I can use minds as a guiding post to push other people in the right direction. I'm not going to probably get to live to see the Western world or any part of the globe aside from maybe Rojava become a legitimate anarchist society. But I can at least get people to work to shift the society a little bit further to the left, so that at the very least we are looking after the people that we need to look after the working class and to do everything within our power to make sure that they are not being swallowed under. That is what I believe what we need. Instead of guiding ourselves by what we can do, guide for what we should strive for. Sorry for that long 5-minute ramble.
That was fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I only did this because I saw the fly on it, and as soon as I came on, he took off. Go figure.
We weren't trying to make fun of you, man.
That's because you were the Hawaiian frog came in. One of them big old frogs that were on.
No, just call me the gecko. I'm the gecko.
So, James, would you like to make any point on the topic we were just sort of broaching?
I kind of heard just the tail end of it. Is this in regards? Just give me the summary, just real quick.
Right. So we were talking about Bram and I were bringing up the topic of realism and how it's sort of, and pragmatism, I guess, is the as a general phrase, and what its place is within the progressive movement, and whether or not we have allowed ourselves to get too steered by holding ourselves within what is currently possible, rather than what we wish to be inevitable. And I was
okay, I got it. So this is when reality hits all of us. This is, just like when I was watching HA and Tim earlier. I mean, they were spot on point with the reality that's out there. And the reality that's out there, especially with these big parties, is they like the masses. They want to stay with the larger group. They don't want to be left alone with a smaller herd of sheep. You see what I'm saying? I think that was towards the end. A lot of these people that are out there right now that are in bulk with the Republicans and the Dumbocrats, they don't want to leave. They don't want to. They don't want to leave and face the realities that we're bringing out. You see what I'm saying? They want all things bright and beautiful. Continue, and they don't want to see the dark side of Congress. They don't want to see the two-party plutocracy. They don't want to see that plastic is destroying our oceans, that Fukushima is screwing up everything. There are poor people everywhere. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So what I'm saying is we are pragmatic in our approach, definitely. But at the same time, I don't think when people tune into this, they're going to enjoy hearing what's really happening. You know, by the way, Dianne Feinstein, she doesn't give a shit about you. What? Oh, by the way, Bernie Sanders, I don't think he's going to make it in time to join the People's Party or any other party for that matter to disconnect himself from the DNC. What? You know, I don't think Donald Trump really cares about you, even though all of you voted for him. You're going to die off like fleas if he passes his Trump kit. What? You know, they just want to. It's like they're filling their heads with I don't know. Baloney.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. I do think there is. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Give me a second.
Well, I want to jump in here for just 1 second, because this realism and pragmatism that people speak of is bullshit. It's radicalism. I mean, it's radicalism towards the right, and it's the radical middle has been drugged so far over to the right that there is no longer a balancing force against it. And so the idea that there's some sort of inherent wisdom in following the company line here of where the middle of our politics is not true. It's nowhere close to where the actual people on the ground are.
Now I remember what I was about to say. So obviously we have a bit of a logistical issue currently as far as how we can effectuate change within American society. I mean, obviously we have the right message, we have the right goals, we have the right ideas to set forth, but we need to figure out how do we get it to the point where the Democrats or any party is able to get the votes in order to sell it. And I've been thinking about this, and I've been studying a little bit about a very charming fellow in the UK by the name of Nick Griffin. For those of you who don't know who Nick Griffin is, he was the leader of the BNP, the British Nationalist Party. Now, if many of you who've listened to me already knows what I typically think of the alt-right and its typical ilk. And to be honest, I think Nick Griffin is a hateful sack of shit who probably, in most regards, should probably be ignored and excreted to the dredges of society. But I saw a clip of him speaking at a KKK rally. Yeah, because that's the great place to get your political insight from. But there was a little snippet from it that a good fellow of mine by the name of Dick Coughlin shared on a response to some YouTube drama that was involving Chris Ray Gun. And it was this clip of him saying how the BNP was planning to advocate change in the UK, in that they had stopped, they were trying to stop blatantly trying to sell white supremacist rhetoric in the UK, but instead relying on a sort of white identity platform. And I'm kind of curious. I don't want to make a movement based solely on identity politics, especially for on a progressive platform. But is there some way we can work on a means of developing a working class narrative of the rich stealing from the poor that could that we have the data to back it up? Can we then use that as a selling point to garner support for the progressive movement? I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are.
Okay, go ahead, independent.
All right. Well, I'm with BC on this. I'm with Broken Purple on this. Pragmatism only works for politicians, because politicians are being pragmatic for themselves. Okay, they're only going to be in for a short time. They're trying to stay in, and when are they going to cater to the poor vote? They're going to cater to the poor vote when the poor are voting. If you look at the Kochs and what they started back in the 1980s, they started on the fringe of the Libertarian Party, and for 30 years they kept going and going and going and going and going. For them, they had radical ideas, but their tactics were pragmatic for them. And what did the DNC do, or what did the Democratic Party do that was pragmatic for them? They ignored this dark money for over 30 years. They put us into this. We can't depend on the Democratic Party. We just can't.
No.
I don't know what we can do, but talking about the Democratic Party, they're not going to do it. I don't know right this moment where to go, but the Democratic Party is not there to save us. They're there to save themselves, or if they're not going to save themselves inside the party, they're there to save themselves financially and just make a bunch of money. So this talk about pragmatism, Obama. Listen, you can't tell me that Obama didn't see what the hell was going on. You can't. Same with Hillary and Bill and all these other guys. Especially Bill. Bill pissed me off because he acted like a progressive, and then he did a 180 in his second term. So the hell with Bill. That's what I gotta say.
You mean blowjob Bill?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Also, Obama's cabinet. I believe there was 34 different cabinet members. By the time the election was coming around, Hillary's people were already loaded into Clinton or Obama's cabinet.
Right.
Now that I think about it, like going back on that previous point I had left on, I guess part of the problem is while with adapting kind of strategies from other parties is that you have to be kind of mindful of the dynamics in play. I mean, here's the thing. The reason why Nick Griffin probably was successful in shifting the Tories to his platform, his original platform from 15 years ago, was because the Tories essentially, the conservatives have a tendency to just shift further to the right as the society begins to collapse and capitalism starts to enter late stage. That's just kind of its natural momentum. So it kind of absorbs so it has a tendency to absorb those narratives. Whereas we are kind of having to work from the opposite side of the spectrum, where the Democrats are resistant to the development of those narratives, specifically because it endangers their ability to gain money from the vote, from their base, which happens to be right-wing corporatists who happen to think that white nationalism is a really silly idea.
It is.
It is. No, it is a silly idea, but it's the people who, but it's essentially that group of people who want their tax cuts, who want their net neutrality laws gone, who want.
You mean they thought it was an impossible idea? It is a silly idea, but it's also possible that they underestimated it, right?
Yeah, no, that's why. No, I mean, but like Nick Griffin at least had his ideas absorbed into the main party, specifically because, probably in large part because, not just because of any tactical genius on his part in order to sell white supremacy on identity politics, but largely because that would be the general modem of inertia for the conservative party anyway.
Right.
Where we are having to constantly fight against the main narratives, specifically because we're trying to tug in the opposite direction.
All right. So can you hear me still with my fly impersonation on?
Yes. Oh, that's you?
There he is. He's there right there. Okay, so.
I couldn't disappoint you, James. Aloha.
Oh, shit. All right. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming. All right.
No problem, brother.
Welcome to Black Bloc Anonymous.
Yeah, welcome. So it's kind of like, sounds like a libertarian movement, you know, with the usual racist crap. But I think you were getting to the point to where could we brand our movement? I mean, what are we? Were you getting to that, Elios? I mean, what are...
Somewhat. It's sort of how do we approach gathering support, and how do we develop solidarity with our movement?
I think that's what you were getting to is, so, I mean, we need to be identified. And I think, because everybody's calling themselves, I'm a true progressive. I'm a true progressive. I'm a true progressive. But
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah, I am Spartacus. But the thing is I think we are definitely the most progressive group or growing group of the 21st century. And what's great about us, okay, is that more people are deciding to, and I saw a meme that on my Facebook, if you're still with the Democrats and if you're still with the Republicans, then you're never going to get your country back.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because I think we're the only people that could actually get our country back, but it's not going to be with any of those parties. It has to be a third party. It has to be somebody that will get at least the parties to look in our direction and start doing what we need. But God, you guys, I'm just saying, they are such a ginormous duopoly. There's just a gigantic mass of money and power and influence and corruption and colluding, and it's like us and Bram knows this. It's not David and Goliath. It's David and Godzilla. You know, it's a totally gigantic mass that, because they have all these people, like I just said, that love to be with these large masses. They don't want to separate themselves from these large masses. They feel comfortable and safe with these large masses, and they don't want to go out on their own. And we're the people that actually are going out on our own. And as a matter of fact, I'm scared for you. I'm actually scared for Tim Black. I'm actually scared for AJ Goodman. I'm actually scared for Wink Wink Hard Bastard. I'm scared for a lot of people out there that are in the same choir, that are sticking up like Jared Beck, that are sticking up sane progressive, there's so many people out there, you know, that are fighting, that are trying to find out the truth on Seth Rich, that are trying to find out the truth on Sean Lucas, that are just trying to find out why all this is happening, which we know, I think we know the basic reason is what I just said, the collusion and the corruption and the backroom dealings and stuff like that. But I think we really and truly are trying to find the truth, because nothing makes sense coming from the media, the mainstream media. It's all these bits and pieces of baloney, and nothing's connecting. Their dots are full of shit. While our dots that we're connecting, they seem more justifiable. They seem more viable. They seem definitely pertinent, but they're just completely on track to the theories. You know, it's like, I guess, conjunctures that we're throwing out are not really holding true, but I think they're more feasible than the crap that they're sending us. I think we're just we should call ourselves the Justice League. You know,
I think someone's already taken that name.
Or the Cornbread League.
Yeah, the Cornbread League. I like that better.
Yeah, Cornbread League. It's great. We're the Cornbread League.
But if you wish to trigger,
well, that's a good one. Triggered League. Triggered.
I don't know.
That's Hillary's camp.
I think.
But you guys know where I'm coming from.
Oh, Chad, you have something to say?
Oh, welcome, Sir Chad.
Welcome. How's it going, guys?
Good, buddy.
I think progressive obviously is seems like more like the middle ground as far as identity. That everything comes back to identity because everybody identifies with different viewpoints of life or different lenses. Identifies with whatever. But I really think if we focus on that specific thing where we no more two-party politics, no more playing, no more being blind. That's why independent gives you back that vote. So that way we say, you don't own our vote. We're independent. You don't, this person doesn't, this
Yeah, there's already what is it, 60% of the country is independent? If we get even more, they'll be forced to actually earn our vote again.
Right. Yes, but we need to, it's the organization to say, okay, well, how do we get people on there? And I think because the progressives, that middle ground, is everybody pretty much looks at the establishment from Obama to, the Clintons. Everybody's pretty much corrupt. It's a system that, between the media, the war machine, all these people, they're switching money. They're the ones that are, and the right understands that, and I think that's a great starting point to focus on because we have to say, okay, no more party politics, and we have to make the house of cards fall, and it has to be the branding has to come with the marketing media attack of it, because just like if you look at Bernie Sanders' campaign, the most movement was through social media. It was when people were on board, it was such an influx, of people on the same board for something because they had something centralized, something as a leader, something, organized. And I think that's the key to everything because
you're saying the only goal should be to make the house of cards fall, even the leader, not the leader, but a lot of people look at him like the leader of this kind of movement against the establishment. Julian had said it's not a good idea to completely destroy the establishment. It's that only the parts that are corrupt. Because,
right.
If we didn't have any form of government, well, it'd just be freaking chaos, and then the same greedy people would take advantage of that. So, we don't want to just knock down the house of cards. It's more like Jenga.
That's why you make examples out of the people at the top. You could go with the Clintons. Everything is connected to the Clintons when it comes to NAFTA, the telecommunications where they put all the communications together. Then you had the private prisons. Then you had the Wall Street. All that stuff is the four main pillars of everything. Even Walmart. Hillary Clinton was on the board of Walmart. And what was that whole thing where, they ship out all the jobs, and now it's all connected to that. So that would be a centralized thing where not only could you get the right, but we could even make the president do what we want him to do, because it's you have to give people a way to redemption. You have
Trump
to
is not doing anything anyone wants him to do. His right.
Well, because he's going to go where he's going to get that satisfaction. He's very ego driven. So
I don't think so. All these people thought that they were going to be able to convince Trump this and that, who had such a huge following, who were such a big part of the alt-right movement, like Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones, and let me think of who else. Oh God, who is that guy with the creepy eyes? I don't know, but what's his name? Mark Cernovich. I think he's kind of more independent, but they tried to influence Trump, and he was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna do what I want because I'm Trump." People really think that because he's egotistical, he can be, have his ego stroked and go in the right direction. But it's more calling on Trump is just calling on
Well, here's the
complete chaos. You know, like if the goal
to,
is chaos, then Trump is good. But that's it. You can't count on him for anything.
Right. No, I agree with that. Yeah, it's like the tactic, because if you take away Trump's base, first of all, if you put pressure on the certain billionaires and the elite, the people that are, you know, it's the people that are in control of the media. There's different ways that we can put pressure on them. But doing that and then splitting his base, the way you split his base is you go at his ego, and then you go at his base as far as like evangelical Christians are a prime example, because there's so many that follow it. If you were able to get the people that identified as Christians to condemn those who support certain things, it doesn't even have to be directly at Trump, but to condemn certain things, then it breaks up the base, because what the media is doing is it's the conquer and divide. It's good cop, bad cop. They're all connected. These people, they need two parties. It's like a football game. They need one side. You have to pick one team. You may not like that team for the Super Bowl or whatnot, but you're gonna pick a side, and that's.
Well, I hear you on them all being connected, because like honestly, it's like Trump is better than Clinton just because he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's still connected with the Clintons. And the Clintons are still a cog.
Oh, they know what they're doing. They're just using him. They're using him as a red herring to take all the attention while they're still robbing. They're still doing the same thing. Like the people with the big money.
It's taking them longer though. They had everything perfectly in place with Clinton.
Well, but
Trump was like, they did not mean for Trump to win.
They're still
I'm
getting.
pretty sure the shadow broker guys are telling the truth, unless they are also CIA pretending to be, you know, like some hackers that messed with some of the voting machines, which is also possible. But they did seem genuinely like, oh shit, about Trump winning, and Trump seemed like, oh shit, you know. So there was some struggle at first, but it took about, I'd say, like 2 months for them to kick him back into place the way that they planned to go. But it was a short delay, you know, like.
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, okay, so we know that, like, the powerful elite, they don't care at all about party, right? Like, they don't care about.
They're still making it. Trump is great for them. They can do it right out in front of everybody.
Right. Like, it doesn't, I mean, I think Jimmy Dore was the one that was just talking about how all the people that were backing Hillary, all her funders, are now funding Trump. It does not matter. So, like, for us, like, we need to do that. They have a goal, and it does not matter what it is. That's what they back.
Yeah,
and even if we have people like me and Kevin were kind of talking about this last night, we have to attack them on all sides. We have got to have those people on the inside, as long as we are unified in our goals.
But
that's the only kind of unification. I don't give a shit what the name is, but I don't want to fight with people. You know, like I'm not saying like we're trying to fight, but I know like there's a lot of people saying come join my group, and some other people are saying join my group. My group's the right way to go, but like the powerful don't do that. So we have to attack them not only as far as party-wise goes, from within and without, but we have to hit them on the economic side too, which is defund. You know, pull your money out of the banks, all of it. We have to do all of it, or else it's not going to work.
Right. Well, and that's the beauty about the internet right here. It's connecting to even Trump supporters. We have to show every group, since we understand the identity issue, we have to find ways to appeal to their identity and show, hey, this is how the system is fucking you. If you could do that and show, okay, well, because even the cops. I saw this thing about CIA. It was a lady. She did something. She says everybody thinks that they're right. If you're programmed, if you're taught to think that you're right, if you're saying this is the way it is, that's the way you're going to respond. So we have to be able to take from that perspective, be specific in how we get people on. But we have to middle, which I think progressive is the real middle. We have to actually, say, okay, with the right, with Trump supporters, let's say, hey, let's take down the House of Cards, mainly the Clintons and the whole DNC establishment. just the top people, because the people underneath are going to start spilling the beans as soon as they see things start going. They're going to be. It will. That's what I'm saying. That's the way. The house of cards is. It's like it's built backwards.
The thing is, I agree with you there, Chad. The thing is, though, what we've got to do is we've got to have a strong game, and what that requires is understanding the mode of argument, and what I mean is understanding how fallacies work and how they get into our arguments.
Right. Well, they frame it. How they frame it.
That takes an understanding of critical thinking.
Right.
And being able to use those tools in an argument. Because like Tim often says, is, you want to sprinkle some facts on them and get out of there. And that's true to a point. You do, because if you stand there for too long, you get caught up in their fallacious argument and you get sucked into it. You don't want to do that.
Right.
You want to provide the facts quickly as possible.
Well, what was it that Bernie did that worked? He came in and he talked about, he didn't say, well, here's my goal, here's my plan, here's this, here's what you need to do. He came in and said, where are you hurting? What's important to you? Okay, well, here's what I think. And he sat down and he talked to people based on what was important and just had a conversation. Whereas all these other politicians, they just come in and they just tell you what's going to happen, right? And nobody likes that. So I found that that's the easiest approach, no matter who I'm talking to. It's if I just talk to them based on what they care about, then we can always find some common ground,
And I think the key is that common ground is that the system is screwing us all, but we have to show how to people in whatever you identify. And I could even separate into white people. I could say it. We don't see the same. We don't understand the same experiences through the same lens as an African American. And there are different social and systematic experiences that we may not understand. So being able to point to show how our system and how we look at all the other cultures is the same, is part of the same system that was created for the other cultures and how they look at us. So it's being able to draw the comparison of how we're both being screwed, basically. I think that's going to be able to, because if you sit there and you talk to the right about Hillary Clinton, they have a huge hate for Hillary, huge hate for Obama, and rightfully so. They actually understand certain things. They actually understand the media manipulation. If there's one thing that the whole Trump issue is done is given them real illumination on how that works. All that's a deep seed, and it's a rabbit hole seed. And eventually they're going to realize, okay, well, the same reason why I feel this way about this person or this person, then is because of the way that the media has framed it, the way that culture has framed it. If we use culture, if we're saying, okay, say the right has a specific issue about, they say they don't want people that are angry and that want to come over here and hurt Americans. It's a valid issue, a valid point. So we have to be able to, break down and go into specifics about certain issues to make sure that everybody feels validated, even if their fears or viewpoint is wrong. We have to be able to make them feel that we understand why that way. We have to approach people as in, okay, this person was programmed this way, and this is why. It's almost like becoming aware. I guess it's an awareness thing. Yeah.
Go ahead, Independent. I know you've been wanting to say something for a while.
Sorry.
Outsider, are you there?
Huh, that's interesting.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Outsider, is your mic on? You might want to tune it up a bit. Is anybody else able to hear it?
I don't see him up. He's not up here. I don't see him.
Why is
Evan, GDS, Graham, Bergen, Surges, Red, Indy, more Persic. He's gone.
Did he go?
It's lighting up, but I don't hear him.
Yeah, I see his light on.
Independent, right? That's what we're waiting for?
Yeah.
He's lighting up, but I can't hear him. He's pulling a Kevin on us.
What happened?
Sorry, Kevin.
No, you're...
Oh.
Indy, you're lighting up, but nothing's happening. We're wondering if you wanted to interject or make a comment.
I was just I was listening and chatting. I don't know why it keeps on lighting up. I don't know what's up.
Okay. Until we hear you, we're going to hear you. All right, I'm going to post this. I haven't gotten a reply yet.
All right, Broken, would you like to make any notes?
Does the fly have anything he wants to say?
Yes.
I'm good.
Good.
All right. Chad, to your point.
I think that it's all. I mean, I think that all the labeling and everything else, you just got to go person by person. That's the way it's got to be right now. And we just have to judge who we're going to pick as leaders by who they are, not who they say they are. You know, we get as much information as we can, make a judgment, and you got to trust some people. You know, you can't go through life not trusting anybody because everybody's going to burn. You know, you're going to get burned by somebody no matter what if you go through this world, and you're going to accept others and stuff. You're going to get burned, but, you know, you got to take a little bit of chances. Just take educated chances, you know, look before you leap kind of thing. Don't, I mean, I don't know, you know, don't tie your hands to the brush you're throwing through the wood chipper, you know, kind of think about what we're doing first before we throw everything through the chipper. Let's get it together so that we're at least like kind of general. I think we all have sort of general lines that are pretty cohesive.
Yeah, we're similar. Here's the thing.
We're not exactly the same, but you know, that's the thing. It's we're never going to get anywhere if we look for carbon copies of everybody we think of as the perfect thing. But we're also never going to get anywhere by trusting the people that have burned us over and over and over and over again. You know, I only touch a stove once to find out if it's hot. I don't touch it a few times, and you know, and at best I spit on it to see if it sizzles before I put my hand on it. You know, it's better to do it that way. Keep your distance, but don't keep so much distance that forming coalitions and, you know, pushing the right people forward is impossible. You know, that's my.
To piggyback on what you said, I mean, basically it's the same thing. You don't look at what people are calling themselves. You look at what they say and you look at what they do. Ossoff can say he's a progressive all he wants, but when the Democratic Party themselves complains that he's taking too much money for the primary, and that primary was like the most expensive primary in history, you know, you kind of figure it out that he's not a progressive. So, you know, you just have to take educated guesses like DC said.
Well, I think it's about what people are talking about. We're getting to a point where, you know, I want to hear somebody, you know, say, you know, Hillary cheated. You know, I mean, I understand how the mainstream media works. I understand how that whole works. You know, if you say something, then you're going to be blasted and blackout, and everybody's worried about that. But I look at it just like as as Bernie did, is what people loved about at the time. Even in the way he did a good job because he was in that system because he was running the primary, but he was able to get so many people together, and it was damn near all through social media because I mean it was a media blackout. I mean there was a lot of people that really learned about the issues and understand it was the framing. And I agree with you on, you know, people don't necessarily, not everybody wants to be labeled. Some people, we all identify with different things though. I mean, that's just the truth. We have to use identity in order to understand, you know, that identity's specific issue and how that specific identity, their lens, how they see the world and why they see the world a certain way. You know, their foundational building blocks, their programming in order to be able to use the right language and use the right tactic in order to, you know, again, like I said, to start that you know, to plant that seed. Because eventually, I you know, that's why people like H.A. Goodman so much on the right. You know, people, we have to, and I just use that as an example because I've spent a lot of time arguing and being in the belly of the conversation with like a lot of Christians, because my dad's a Christian evangelist. I grew up, my grandpa was a pastor, my grandma, uncle, so I grew up in Pentecostal Church of God of Prophecy, and parents, you know, so I got to a point where, you know, I felt like for me, if I'm going to be able to say something, if I'm going to understand something, then I'm going to have to address it with my friends and family that I know that are there's what they're saying. You know, that people don't understand what they say, you know, about human life, the way when it comes to everybody wants to kill, or, you know, like, oh yeah, they bombed, it's okay if we bomb here, you know what I mean, that life's okay if it comes from this, you know what I mean. So it's like there's a lot of that in you know, in the Christian world, like, you know, I mean, very big on Israel. They look at certain things, and it's very, you know, tunnel vision. So what I learned, and when I say I was a dick, is I called my pops out. I mean, social media, and that's what I love about social media, is because it's the first time people can say, okay, here, say what you want to say how you feel, talk about it. And we actually have a platform for us to have the conversation rather than, you know, public duels or, you know, whatever. But, you know, I addressed, you know, some real issues like within the church. And my whole thing is that I can respect what somebody wants to believe, but we have to have people within the church, you know, deal with the corruption within the church, because otherwise, you know, whatever you're trying to represent is being overshadowed by the bad parts, you know, just like in a lot of different, you know, other areas. I don't know where my point was going with that. I'm just on a rant.
Okay, real quick. Yeah. Eben brought up something really important in his little critique of Nina Turner and Tim Black, where she mentioned it's not about labels. And then he said, well, if it's not about labels, then leave the Democratic Party. I mean, if it's not about labels, then leave your party. It's a label. So I think what Elios was getting to was really simple.
Right.
There's got to be a label here, and Broken's right. You're not going to get everybody to perfectly coexist in the same tunnel or driving on the same #1 lane that you're on. You guys could be going in the same direction, but there's 6 different lanes.
Right.
That's what he's saying. So I think the goal is, and I put this up earlier. It may seem not feasible, but I think there's a few people on the right that I believe, and Shaq, what's the guy's name? Okay, he came on the other night. He's with the Truth Seekers, or the Oath Keepers. He's with the Oath Keepers. You know, he likes the movement, but there's a lot of people that are kind of leaning more towards really getting away from both parties. They're kind of really leaning away even on the right, definitely more on the left, because we're really seeing and not paying attention to the establishment media that's been pounding our brains with these sledgehammer propaganda and, you know, bad dad Bob crap. It's like, you guys remember bad dad Bob? Baghdad Bob? Anybody? Okay. Anyway, it's just the propaganda that keeps beating into the minds of Fox News. I know Broken keeps beating into the minds of the Dems, but we're seeing beyond that. So I think what I'm really trying to get to is very simple. We're progressives, and if anybody says otherwise, I think that's okay. Only because of this. If they're still in the same direction that we're at, but maybe they're not in the exact same lane, I think it's important that we bring them on. I think it's important that we allow them their time. I'm not saying we're going to convert them to the number one lane or they're going to drive as fast as we're going. No, some people have to merge on. It's going to take a little time for them to acclimate and understand what's happening.
Follow everybody else.
So it's real simple. It's, you know, and some people will want to get the fuck off of our freeway, you know, because it's just not for them. So, but I just think, you know, I would say we are the true progressives.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like the way I always describe it is like, okay, everybody is trying to wake up, and everybody wakes up in their own way. Some people are slow. Some people hit the snooze button. Some people are grumpy, angry, throw stuff at you. But eventually, everybody's going to wake up because they don't have an option not to anymore, you know?
Agreed. And I think arts and entertainment is a super important part of that, because, and it's something that Gary Vee talked about culture. You know how, you know, you have to be able to move culture and design culture. It's all you know, all this. We can, if we put together like between Reddit and all these different places, if we had like a staff of people, volunteers that do memes, do videos, do all sorts of different things, that we could say, okay, let's focus on this one issue this week. So we make that become trend, make that trend, because it's all about influencing. And the way you influence, the way you capture people's attention is by you know, the creative, the art and entertainment part through you know, then you do that through the medias and stuff, like all the platforms. So that's where I think that we have to get more people that focus on those things, like people that are online that can edit and draw and do all sorts of stuff. We have, because it's visual, everything we're learning through memes and boom boom boom. If we capture the culture and even make it cool to be against the damn establishment, and which it's the truth, but we have to be able to battle them because they're so behind anyways, and what's hip, what's up. And you know, the younger cats, they know what's real. We just have to be able to say, hey, focus on this right here, and you do that through, you know, visual, you know, all that.
Well, yeah, I gotta say something. I love electronic media, and I love electronic media as a way to reach out. But I think handshakes are underrated. I think phone calls are underrated. I think letter writing is underrated. I mean, you can't just focus on media, but media is a fantastic medium. But to take that extra effort to go, hey, you're going to be in my area, let's hang out. Let's have lunch or something and talk about and meet up. That's how I met Jamarl, and you know, and that's how I got hooked on the left forum, and that's actually how I got hooked onto you guys. So, you know, there is something to be said for, you know, reaching out as well. So, I mean, this was a great starting point, but you know, you can make a phone call, and you can write a letter, and you can, you know, talk to people too, and meet people face to face. You got to do everything.
Yeah, that's like a really great point because, like, especially like in some of these rural areas, I mean, they don't have access to the internet, and they don't, or or if you're pressed for time or whatever, sometimes the best way to do it is just to drop by or just to send a letter or something,
Well, but you'd be surprised who's on Facebook. I mean, my grandma's on Facebook. A lot of people are on there, but it's funny how, and I only say that is because there's, this right here, damn near everybody has one of these. So this is really
not everybody. Not everybody.
But I mean,
believe it or not everybody.
No, I mean not everybody, of course. But being able to design, that's what I'm saying, design the right type of tactic and approach to, say, even seniors, to be able to give them the information, even if maybe it's finding the right person that could speak the information, finding ways to gain their respect. And they're still plugged in a lot. They're still on the phone. There's, like you say, when I'm going to run for something, I'm not sure what I'm going to run for, whether it's going to be a district or if I'm going to go ahead and try the governor. But I want to go to, all the senior places. I mean, I saw one little video was the seniors, and they put seniors with kids to play school kids or whatnot, and they combined it. It was really cool. So I agree with we have to be able to identify specific to different people and how they receive information and how and what we want to give them. If we're saying, okay, the country, this age bracket, then we be specific to that. If we want to reach this age bracket, then there's all this stuff is already in play. All your music, all your TV, all your stuff, they have these companies. You pay them like 10 grand, 10, 15 grand just to get them started, and they go find your market for you. If you do music, if you got something like a chill dance vibe, they'll find what all the different stuff that's going on that plays your style of music and get it popping there before they take it to the mainstream in order to familiarize people. I mean, there's
all right. Well, I got
talk to your grandparents, basically. Talk to your grandparents. Tell them the news.
the people who need to be reached are the ones that people don't think about. I mean, look, I know I've talked to a few people about this, but I'm bipolar. And I know for a fact that people, in Section 8 housing or people who have issues like that, first off, they don't want to talk about it. Second off, people tend to shy away from them, especially if they show, some symptoms or whatever. But if you reach out to those guys and say, hey, look, I'm willing to help you, or they're really, really, really poor, or the homeless, those are the people that need politicians the most and need to help, and those are the ones that are being ignored. And if you actually reach out to them, you got to vote for life if they know that you're for them.
I think
but nobody ever talks to them because it's like they don't have there's the people that have trouble voting. There's the people that have the most trouble voting.
It's a
waste. They're flyover constituents.
It's a bigger problem than that. Politicians or even people in media that's in mainstream media, they don't talk to us. They could come on and talk with us. They could have on people and just ask them free-form questions and make sure that anyone that asks a question, it's legitimate. They don't get kicked out for saying something they don't like. If they ask a question about what do you think about the DNC fraud lawsuit on CNN, that's not going to happen. And I think what we need to do is get rid of it, make it known. Here's the biggest battle against politicians and independent media that are doing public service. Have them speak to the public. One-on-one conversations. Anybody in the public, come on these things, town halls, have it recorded. Basically, any question goes, and any answers are going to be filmed and reviewed. And if you don't do that, you're taking.
Completely agree with you.
And if you don't,
agree with you.
Yeah, and if they don't do that, then they've taken the elitist position. Basically,
they're controlling the information.
Exactly.
You can't control the information. The public should control what they want to know.
Yes.
Not the politicians and not the mainstream media. I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely.
100% agree on that.
Yep. Ironically, it's because they spend so much time attempting to keep it. I'm of the opinion that part of the reason why the general public descends into hysterics whenever top secret information gets leaked to the public is just because they spend so much time trying not to inform the public. And when everything dam breaks, all hell breaks loose.
And we have to break more dams. That's exactly what we have to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yes, one of the things I'm hearing is you guys speak in big ambiguous terms and big ambiguous labels and things, and that is not the way. The way to, you have to meet people where they are, and then pull them towards you, and you do that by figuring out what is important to them. And so if you go to West Virginia and you talk about healthcare, and you talk about, you know, the dangers of mining, how mining is dying off, and we have to figure out a way to clean up all this toxic waste that has been thrust upon you, and the years of black lung that have been thrust upon you. You know, you go to those places and you talk to people about the issues that matter to them, and issues are what drives things. And as far as, like, you know, the marketing and the coverage and all of that is you can't. It's hard to artificially make a great hashtag that's like goes viral, because things just sort of happen sometimes. Well, sometimes so the idea is you organize around actual things that matter to people, rather than organizing around some label of what it is. Well, so that you can take people where they are, and then you pull them towards you, and you explain to them how it isn't just the system of economics that's holding people down, that there's a systematic racism in this country, and there's, you know, you can pull people towards you and explain things in an easier way. And it's not, you have to remember that people are driven by their own self-interest.
Well, and that's what I was saying.
There's self-interest, but so trying to you have to sort of listen and look before you go and just decide what's important, because you may be amazed that, you know, college debt is important to older people because they've got kids that are sucked up with college debt. You know, it could be that you don't realize what is important to people, and there's a million ways that you can. I mean, I can walk in anywhere and I can bullshit with people and figure out where they are and figure out a way that I can intersect with them. Right. And that's the way we all got to be. And that's the way I was talking about being open. You're going to get burned by people, but you got to be willing to jump in and help with other, you know, movements that are outside of your pleasure zone.
Right.
But that are in, you know, when you speak of going in the same direction, you know, what it is it's like the Republican and Democratic Party right now are two trains, and they're both speeding towards the crevasse with no bridge. Okay. And the only difference is the Republican train goes faster, you know, and the Democratic train just sort of slows along, but it's going to end up there. You know, I'll take my chances, jump off the train and walk back the other direction, you know, and take as many people with me as I can. So that, you know, either that or pull the pin on the freaking, you know, pull the pin on the train and let it go over the edge, because I ain't going with it.
Right. Well, and
or at least I'm not going along for the ride, but I'm willing to take chances with people and with movements, because it can't be just your movement or your thing. that's important. Otherwise, you're not going to build up enough coalitions to be a formidable opponent to anyone.
Right.
So I mean, and there's a ton of issues that slide across race and class right now that are easy to vocalize. And so concentrating on those and driving that message is more important than driving a message around a particular political movement. Because if you can force movement, the political movements towards you, it's better. Because they can say anything from their political movement without actually doing anything. But if you're a force that's pulling upon them, they can't get away with it, kind of thing, you know.
Well, BC, don't you think that over the years, especially when people first get into office, they just push those wedge issues, whether it be, you know, gay marriage or whatever it is, just to, you know, and Trump with the stupid wall, just to get people fighting each other to distract them from not, you know, from what they're actually doing, and get people looking at nonsense and fighting each other?
Yeah, I mean, wedge issues the bit. Yeah, I mean, you know, they don't want to just say that there is money in saying that building up huge, you know, problems with abortion or guns or all that.
Right.
Big money to be made, and there's, you know, DC lobbyists to be paid, and so those aren't the issues. Those aren't the issues that are really important, though. Those are the distraction issues. Those are the wedge
Absolutely,
issues.
absolutely.
You know, it became an art like that. The post oh man, the granddaddy, Nixon's granddaddy of rat fuckery and assholedom.
Stevie, you had your hand up.
The guy that spawned Karl Rove. I can't think of his name now. Anyhow, that guy was like the originator of the figuring out a way to wedge, you know.
Right.
So,
Stevie, go
I
ahead.
think that's basically why I think single payer is going to be the cause that gets everybody together, because either you're poor and you can't afford health insurance, or you're middle class and you're paying way too much for very little benefit. And I think that would be like probably the one goal, like I think that everybody would have in common. I forget what the approval ratings are for it, but I mean, it was like astronomical, and it's probably even higher than that. And then on top of that, and then that leads into, you know, discussion about the economy, discussion about, like, you know, college and solutions. So then that would be something that we could really build off of, and to keep the movement going.
I think talking about policies and issues right now isn't going to do anything, because the co-opting movement, whatever, you can talk about whatever you want, it's going to sound good, and you'll have your vote, and then what happens is they don't vote on it. And I think people who need to who are running, they just need to state the obvious facts. Is, you know, we all know what we need to do, but when it comes time to actually do it, who's doing it and who's not doing it?
Everybody craps out. Everybody craps out.
Well, that's why I'm saying not necessarily politicians, but for us, like for us to, I guess, rally behind. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's the policies. It's the policies. Go ahead.
It's like a couple of people, Robert from TBTV, Jamarl Thomas, and someone else from Humanist Report, just a fan. I mean, he's like 16 years old, and he's kind of created the same type of thing. And it's pretty simple. We already know what the policies we want are, but we're actually going to do them. Unlike a specific party of ours, or even two parties that are out there that everyone votes for, they don't do everything that the public wants. They only do what the private corporations want. So why do you keep voting for them? Don't vote for them. This is what we need. We need people who actually walk the walk, right? They don't just keep talking about it and then get elected, and then you can't do anything for the next 2 to 4 or however many years once they're in. And that's the first step, really. You just have to get people to stop falling for the same banana in the tailpipe.
Well, and it's like it's the corporation. It's
not a banana in the tailpipe.
That's what it's saying in Broken Carpenter. What you're saying, you have to find people and find those ways to intersect, to meet them, have some sort of connection, and that's when I say identity or identify, is that because somebody's lived this experience, they're going to identify with this type of experience. We have to teach people that it's all right to identify with certain things, but that doesn't mean that is the be all and the complete depth to us as an individual. But
well, to go back to what Ebon was saying, he is right. I mean, we have the map. Now we need to get the car and we need to get the driver. And we got to make sure that the driver is following the map,
right?
Which means, election reform and make sure that people are not rigging the elections as well. There's been shenanigans there too. I mean, as he said, we know what we want.
Right.
But we have to be more proactive in making sure that the elections are run correctly and fairly. We got to get in there and and call bullshit.
Right.
Or Ebon's right. It's not going to work.
Well, and that's what I was saying. To reach people, you have to almost be like 50 years ahead and look back and say, okay, well, if these people identify, and I only use that as to group to understand certain things. We not understand culturals. There's culture, that there's subcultures and other, but to say, okay, each one you have to. That's the top. It's the corporate people. Those are the ones that are making the policy. Those are the ones that are creating the environment that we're all living in. And if you go to each identity, some people are in this culture and they're in mixed between these, but they're in this subculture. So I'm saying that if we have the same message and make it to the message to individual cultures, individual subcultures, within their language, people that are in that culture, and say, here's the message. The reason why you're being screwed over is the same reason why this guy's being screwed over. If we could convince the police, and it's all about having a platform and a campaign. That's what Ebon was saying.
Platform, message, and campaign is great. We also need paper ballots, and we also need.
I mean a campaign. The campaign for knowledge. The information is everything. We the first time in history we're able to give the information and to show it. We can literally show where Hillary Clinton knows, the most powerful people, the most informed people on the earth. She knows that ISIS is being funded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and we're giving the weapons. It's like these are the campaign. I mean, is all can be done online, because eventually that the message is going to get once people from all different walks, all different cultures are saying, okay, well, even the police, if we did a specific campaign for law enforcement to say, okay, here's how to save the honor of what the police do. The police believe that there's honor in certain things, but we have to give them the way to save it. We have to
Bram wanted to say something, and then Stevie.
All I wanted to say is this: I agree with what you're saying, but what we need to do is we need to look at the big picture here. And the big picture here is that it's about involvement. And what I mean by that is we've got to get involved in our local communities, because that's the only way that we're going to take back our elections. Okay, our elections right now are a complete sham, and we know this. And that's why we've got to get involved in our local precincts and our local districts, so that we can start monitoring these things ourselves, so that we can start taking responsibility for the way that these things go down. And if that includes running for local office, then that's what we have to be willing to do as well. It really has to come down to us. Just as Bernie said, it's not about him, it's about us. It's in our hands at this point, and we've got to be willing to take the next step and get this done, because we don't have time to wait for anybody else to do it anymore. It's literally, we're out of time. That's how bad the situation is. We're out of time, and we've got to step up to the plate and get in the game and get these things done as quickly as we can, starting in our own districts.
All right.
That's it.
Stevie and then James.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, we've been hitting the snooze button for too long. There's a heaping pile of work that's been building up, and now, you know, companies coming over, and holy crap, everything's a mess. You know, like, we got to get it, and we got to do it now. And so we need a lot of work done in a very short amount of time, and that is going to take a lot of people doing just a little bit in their area. Even if it's just, you know, just going out and talking to people, getting something organized, you know, anything. I mean, we have to start just the smallest little wave, you know, but if everybody just does a little bit, we can get this done. But it's going to take a lot of people doing it.
I want to say something after James. Go ahead.
Night, Ayola.
Good night.
Okay.
Night.
Night.
Take care.
Good night. Aloha.
Happy 4th.
Okay, but stick around. This is a good one.
Happy
Okay,
4th.
so Broken's talking.
Barbecue. People love barbecue.
Okay. All right. So Broken was talking about 2 trains going over a crevasse, like in silent movies, which I was thinking of. But anyway, so these 2 trains, which are definitely the Republican Party and the Democrats, they're going. Brrr. So, but I want to be the chopper. Get in the chopper. Get in the chopper. I want to be the helicopter that comes and saves them before they go down with these 2 disgusting trains that are going into the crevasse. So what I'm trying to say is I voted green. Okay? I voted green. I mean, I don't know where else these people are going to go. I don't think they want to go back. If Seth Rich is exposed as being Panda with WikiLeaks, they're done. The Dems are done. The Republicans are already done because they're fucking crazy and they're just psychopaths. Okay, so that they were done a long time ago. So there's only one direction in my professional perspective is the Green Party, and they're already set up and they're ready to go. There's people that have Senate seats. There are people that have taken community positions. There are people that are moving pretty fast. No, we don't have Bernie. No, maybe we might not get Tulsi, but we've got some good people there. The thing is I don't see any party coming up fast enough to save anybody from anything other than the Green Party. I just don't see it happening. I mean, I really cannot see the People's Party isn't moving fast enough. The Democrats within, or the Justice Democrats trying to fix themselves, that's not going to happen because there's too much money and power.
All right. So
somebody.
Me, then Broken Carpenter, and then Kevin. All right. So to I agree with Bram. To illustrate Stevie's point, there are a lot of odd things you can do. For example, if you go and download the application Google Opinion Rewards, basically they just send you surveys, and you can create as many accounts as you want as long as you have multiple Gmail accounts. So you just basically answer survey questions, and they'll give you like a couple cents for every survey, and eventually you could add up. Like I've gotten mine up to like hundreds of dollars with multiple accounts. And you could donate that to like Tim Black, right? So you don't have any money, you could download an app where periodically it asks you some opinions and you answer them. And then you accumulate money and then you could donate it. Or buy other applications, but basically you could use it to donate or buy something from someone that has a Google account or something similar to that. So there are ways you can raise money from the corporations because people's opinions matter. They collect this data. Now, to James's talking point, we don't need to create a new party. We just need to destroy either the Democratic or the Republican Party. Because if there's just one party, then it's fair game for everyone. So when you kill the duopoly, you just have one party, then it's all parties are fair game. Anyways, Broken Carpenter and then Kevin.
Well, I was going to say, like, as far as this, there's like like I'm agreeing with Ivan here, because this is what I was going to feed into, and the idea of the trains. And first off, you get the people off the train. That's the first thing you do. You either get the people safe by disconnecting the engine, or you get the people off the train. You know, but the next thing you do is try to get the engineer and those people in, you know, to stop the thing going in the right direction. So, and the way you do that is you say, well, you ain't got anybody in here anyhow. I don't know where you're going, you know, basically. And so I think that that having a campaign of sustained action, like against actual politicians, going to their town halls, you know, going to the local, like your guys are saying, going to your local meetings and raising their shit, you know, whatever, your city council, you know, and let your voice be known in your way, you know. And like Ivan said, everybody's got something, you know. I think going to congressmen's offices and crashing it, and, you know, sitting in their offices, and then having people on the ground that are taking video, and then people like you know, Ivan and Momo, and people that can take that info and put it together as sort of a news clip, you know. I mean, and make some sense out of what, because when people are live streaming and stuff, you get a lot of good. Sometimes you get really good, easy to understand things. Sometimes you're getting flashes of things, and you need some help, you know, with getting through what you just saw. So it's good to have people that can explain it, you know, all through that whole process. There's places for everybody. I just think that like a multi-pronged system of attacking issues and sitting politicians is the way you sort of slow the train down, and the way you pull in more people off the train onto your side. You know, you show that you're on their side.
I get that.
That's why we all like. Yeah, we all like.
Where are they going to go?
We all like Tim Black because we know what direction he's gone. You know, we don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying, but we agree with the direction he's gone, and we all do. So we get people to understand relativity and what direction everybody's going. And then we get the people safe, and when we fight against the engineer to get the train stopped. But if the train goes over the edge, that ain't the end of the world either. You know, I mean, you know, if we gotta take the hand cart back and take turns pumping the handle to get everybody back into town, and we can do that, you know, without the engine.
No, you just said they're going off the cliff. I agree. You just said they're going off the cliff.
But we don't know. But like you said, you want to
find some place to jump off to.
If you want to be the guy in the helicopter, you want to save the infrastructure. You don't want to destroy the engine if you don't have to.
No more the analogies. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about what we're going to do.
But I mean, if you're, here's the thing too. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm Green Party. I'm an indie, and I judge by who people are. You know,
so you would vote Democrat? Did you vote Democrat?
I would vote Democrat. I'll vote Green. I vote Green this last election.
Okay,
you know,
good.
It doesn't make me a Green in the Green Party. I keep my registration in the Democratic Party because that's where I can affect the biggest change within the system that is during the primaries.
Okay, all right. So
I'm not going to have a real.
We're gonna let
effect
Kevin
on
go. I'm gonna mute everyone so we can hear him better, and then I'll unmute after he's done. Give me a sec. Okay, go ahead, Kevin. Kevin?
Ebon, you made a mistake. I wanted Stevie to play the clip of. I wrote a message. We were talking last night, and I had a pretty decent idea, and she has the clip for it. So that's who you're. I can say it without butchering it. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I'll be able to word it the same way. So unmute me and switch it over to Stevie real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta bring it up again. Hold on. If you all go, somebody else wants to talk for a minute.
Well,
wait. Oh, I got it now. Now let me know if this doesn't work out because the sound quality is not very good. So
if you send me the link, I could play it, Stevie.
Boarding over is a few-stage approach. Bear with me. We need to form groups of friends and organize. Gotcha. Use those groups to pull resources to create an active presence in areas to grow ranks around needed policy. Yep. Community support groups also need to be constructed to divert people from falling prey to economic traps so the number of U.S. dollar power can be used as a weapon. Yes! Damn it. All right. I think that was it. Did it work?
Yeah, I couldn't quite hear.
Oh, well, I typed it out. Basically, he says, get groups of friends together and organize. Use those groups to pull resources to create an active force to fight for policies and to divert people from falling prey to economic traps so the number of U.S. dollars can be used as a weapon. And then use that money for community purchases like community gardens, community land purchasing, etc. Basically undermining them, their time, their work, their money. You got to undermine it all while actively fighting for policies on a local level.
Attack the corporation's money through basically organizing. You know, take away their power in that field. Something that I want to do is kind of an idea that I have. I'm in District 6 of Tennessee, which is Diane Black's district, but there's a lot of country, and there's a lot of old houses. There's a lot of land. I mean, there's 27 acres up here for sale for $45,000, which is super cheap. The land out here is super cheap. What I want to do is work on develop this program to take all these old houses, all these dilapidated places, take all the materials, keep them, refurbish them, and build everything. You take the vets, you take the felons, and we build up all these little houses, little places in the country. And we could even put do the solar and put the gardens inside, as well as places for people to stay. But my goal for that, what I'm doing here, is I'm going to basically I'm create an analog version for people to sell their product digitally, because there's so many resources that's in the country that people are capable of doing, woodworking to seamstress to, I mean, everything. If you take all those things and you organize them, and then you give them a platform where they can be pretty much their own independent contractor type thing, and under one platform you sell everything there, then people will have a place to go in order to put money back into, people's, real people's pockets, and pretty much go around the system that we have. So that's kind of my idea. Take all these old houses, take all the resource and material, refurbish them, because we have all the people. I'm building a TV production studio and recording studio where I can bring in different people and record them talking about their craft, talking about all the things that they've done, talking about the history of the area. And it's a way to capture and get give people an opportunity to really talk about all the shit that they've learned. I mean, and we could focus on even senior citizens, because the senior citizens are they're kind of the patriarch of their own family anyway. So that's a good way to be able to get people involved, to be able to teach seniors how to use the internet, have all these different things. I'm trying to break down so I can speak to each individual, I say character or culture, and to be able to give them a path in order to work with all these other cultures because we're all being screwed. And I keep going back to that because I think it needs to be something in every conversation we have. Everything we have to keep remembering the absolutes, because the absolutes are the problems to everybody until we change the policies, basically, until we understand who it is that are paying for the policies, and until we go after them, then we're not going to even be able to disrupt. So that's my little
good stuff.
I mean, I think the countries, especially Tennessee, there's so much land, there's so many. It would be an awesome way to bring. I mean, we could damn near feed the whole state, by, putting this together. And then you give, you put the money back into it. Basically, we're redesigning the government. We're updating the government, because now what the government was supposed to do is they were supposed to connect to make sure that these certain cats don't run monopolies and screw people. That's pretty much what they're supposed to be doing. Well, now we can go around them. Once we have it's a prototype, it's a blueprint. Once we have one, then we can implement that and we can give power to that. And what Ebon's saying is, if we want to start with the DNC lawsuit, I think maybe that's what we have to do is let's pick an issue of something specific, which that is the base, the root of the corruption. If we can focus on pulling all our energy into and showing what we can do with that one specific issue, then I think it's going to show everybody involved, okay, hey, yeah, we can do this together, because it's I mean, like, it's simple. If we all decided to do it, we all made the decision to make a statement, then we would, or then it would make the change that we need. But we have to be able to get those people. And I think we need to pick something to start with and really focus on a campaign, because we're all right. I think we're all on the same page in what we want to do. I think we just have to actually, and I think Juan's right on that. If we start with the DNC lawsuit, let's get videographers, let's get artists, and put together a list and say, okay, here's the DNC lawsuit. Let's do everything, all this media, all this stuff that goes around the DNC lawsuit, by showing how everything they cheated, use WikiLeaks, use all these different things. We can retweet WikiLeaks. We can retweet at Hillary Clinton. We can use the hashtag Hillary cheated, the DNC cheated. If we actually had all these different things that we can just pump out, because that's all that they're doing is they've got the mainstream, but we're on the right side of what's right. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like we can do it. I don't know. I feel like it's so simple that we just have to apply it, because with everything that you guys are talking about here, and with the links that Tim Black and H.A. Goodman gets tweets by WikiLeaks all the time. All we have to do is have that right 2-minute video that shows. We imagine we start acting out, or having funny videos acting out WikiLeaks, showing where Hillary Clinton, and having the conversation, different stuff that's going to grab people's attention, and we could capture other people's attention. It's all about doing it in a way that every culture, every subculture can jump onto. So if that makes sense, that we have to have the one goal with the DNC. The DNC lawsuit, but have all these different subcategory attacks throughout, because you got the right, you've got them on board. They're going to push that shit so quick. You can go hit all these conservative things, and they're going to push it because they're going to love to watch the left, explode. So you already have like a huge part of it, and I think we could do it.
I think that I think a good one that we should do on Anything Goes, like on Saturday night, is do dramatic, have each person take a part and do dramatic readings of some of those chains of letters of emails from Podesta to Nira to Uma, and all the rest. Yeah, just each person takes one voice and does that one voice because I think that would be good. But hey, I think it's you use whatever skills you got. Like I said, I like the idea of people going and getting in politicians' faces because I think they need that. Even if they aren't going to change, it's better to go get in their face because eventually the people that know that are looking for other people like them will see you and join in. And that face-to-face thing is very important. That I think it was Brahm was saying that, or somebody was saying that is a very important thing. That there's because of the distance of not being places and being able to do things, because we're in a pretty wide group. We could, if we set our minds to it, we could pull a video from events from all over the country. It's just everybody's have to have time, and they have to go out and do it and everything else. That's could be heavy, but there are people that can do it, or like me. I'll jump on it. If it's something I agree with, I always will jump in to do something like that. But it's that's one way. I really feel like we need, as much as we need sort of an effective sort of messaging and platforms, we need just sort of on the ground, no dapple kind of events that happen to keep organized around, even outside of our as far as like issues and interests. Everybody has a different set of priorities, but we all have a lot of lists that are the same. If we put out the top 10 things, we'd probably agree with 9 out of the 10, 8 out of the 10. And the idea is, whenever you see somebody in that list, you just jump in and help them if you can. And that's the way I feel about it. And whatever I can do from my perch here is what I do right now. But when I get the wild bug and get my body in good enough shape, I like going out and beating myself up for a few days for a cause too. So it's all in what you're comfortable doing and what you're good at, because we take the people that are good at things and we let them go on things,
right?
Within sort of, and try to keep some sort of an overarching story that goes with it, because people understand story. People understand the meaning of metaphor and stories and how that affects their lives. So my 2 cents.
All right, here we go. This is the misconception that we've all been fed. I'm going to tell you right now. It's Godzilla, and okay, it's not even Godzilla. It's a galactic warrior, like in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's how fucking big it is. Okay, so protesting, and you saw what happened in Wisconsin with Scott Walker. There were thousands and hundreds of thousands and tens of thousands of people protesting that guy on a daily basis, and nothing happened. People have sat in front of governors' houses. They've done all kinds of things. I mean, activism is good. It's seen as making a stance, but when it comes down to it, you can't touch these people. I don't see. Okay, I understand, but the thing is, it's the voting. You threaten their votes, that's huge. If they know that they have the majority of people that are going to be voting for them or against their policy or against their law or whatever they're trying to push, that's huge. But the other greatest thing that we can do in regards to the bigger federal picture is definitely a third party. A third party that's viable, that gets them to look, that gets them to turn the cheek, that gets them to say, oh, fuck. It's not just You know what I mean? It's getting them to really say to be a pest, like an itch, like a bad, some kind of EBGBs. You know what I mean? You want them to start to feel us, but it, and everything that Broke is talking about is absolutely necessary and absolutely has to continue. You have to have that physical presence. I fully agree. But when it comes right down to it, until we get a third party that's making them react to where, don't worry about it, it's a fucking Green Party. They never do anything. I want them to say, you know what? The fucking Green Party, they're really starting to be a pain in our asses. That's the reaction I'm trying to get. That's the reaction I think we need to get.
We still need the leader.
I'm gonna interject real quick. I'm gonna let you guys know what I've been doing for the past week or 2 weeks. I got to preface it with a very quick story about the Postal Service. Back in 1972, Postal Service, the Postal Service unions at the time, they were combined and they struck. And when they had their postal strike, they got a massive amount of benefits. They got their holidays. They got everything that they wanted, but they had to put in the contract a no strike clause. Part of what we got was a no layoff clause that management agreed not to lay off people. I think it was like, if you have 6 years in, you're set until you retire. However, what they are trying to do now is unilateral action. Every time someone bids out of a position in my craft, management is trying to wholesale get rid of that position. Just, revert it. I bid out of my old job, they're reverting that job. And they're not looking at any data, whether they need the job or not. And this is a national thing. So right now, I am in the middle of about 15, 18 bid reversion grievances that I'm personally working on right now. And that's going to go to arbitration. And in the meantime, what you said, James, guess who I spoke with for about 45 minutes, an hour on Twitter about the Postal Service, and she was asking me questions if I knew this or that. Margaret Flowers of the Green Party.
Shit.
So I got you, brother. I got you.
Wow.
Now, I'm an independent. I'm a pure independent. I don't believe in Democrats. I don't believe in Republicans. And as of yet, I'm not going to the Green Party as of yet, unless they really, but that impressed me. When Margaret Flowers gets on and privately chats with me for as long as she did, when she had, she's talking about running for president and, the next, she's supposedly going to be the next candidate for the Green Party. I don't know if that's true or not, but she takes the time to talk to somebody that she doesn't know about the Postal Service. That impresses me. And
Yeah.
I do have to say, that right there impressed me. And I like that. I like the fact that Ajamu, spoke with me one-on-one. I like the fact that, Jill Stein took the time to speak with me one-on-one. These guys take the time to do it, and that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
One more thing. I just got a volunteer job working for a company called the Incorruptibles. And what they are doing, it's kind of like the Justice Democrats, but done the right way. They are organizing teams, local teams, to get together. They've only done like 2 or 3. They've just started. Local teams to organize and get candidates in local areas that will not be bought off. Now, I have been brought on to the national team to basically, do some writing for them. So I'll be working with them, and and they also, if anybody's interested, they're looking for people. But I'm trying to do my thing. Most of my work right now is going to be through the union. With that's going to be a giant fight. So, that's right now. That's what I'm doing. But James, listen, the Green Party impresses me as far as their passion and what their message is, and the fact that they're willing to speak with people one-on-one. It's just their organization that kind of, you know, I'm not too happy with right this instant.
I agree.
They're not as hip as they should be. I think. I like the Green Party. I like.
They're hip.
Huh?
They're just not organized.
Right. Well, you know what I mean. I mean, as far as the way that they put it out. Like, I wanted to see Jill Stein be a little bit more tough. I heard a lot of people didn't like the way she spoke, and you know, you have to listen to her a lot to understand, you know, the way she talks, her mannerisms and stuff like that.
No, I get it.
But
I get that. I was there.
But you know, but that's what we really need a leader, and that's why I you know, people with platforms, those that have the followers. That's why I look at it, because I do music, and I got a bunch of friends that are, you know, within the establishment, and they've got a lot of, you know, people that they can blast it out to. But it's like you have to be organized, and you have to preface kind of thing. You know?
I gotta say something though. As far as her message, and as far as her quote unquote not being tough enough, her calling for a recount took balls. Took a lot of guts for her to do that when she, you know, she wasn't really in it, obviously, and she called for a recount. Everybody's like, oh, sour grapes or whatever. No, she had no stake in it whatsoever. She had no dog in the fight, and she still called for a recount, and it was the right thing to do.
And she got the most pressure out of the whole election.
I saw her speak twice in Philly. She's a great speaker now, and she did. When she has a crowd, she's a great speaker, and you know, I thought she was a great. She went on the news, held her own, did better than held her own, put them in their place in most times.
Yeah,
and so I always felt good about having the Green Party there to vote for, as you know, as another choice. I'm a chooser now. I just sort of I like to choose when I choose who I think, I get behind them. And for politicians, the biggest thing they can get is people. That's the thing. You get like a local politician and like just get like our group to make telephone calls for half an hour. That's a gigantic job that's off their list. And if it's the right people that you believe in, people power is where the unions always had their strength. It wasn't in the big bucks they gave. It was in people. They could organize large numbers of people to work the phones and work the polls on election day and do things like that. And that's where sort of being able to organize, even with, with people within these different groups, because I think the different groups, are our revolution under Nina and Draft Bernie and these different groups. They all are going in a good direction and have good goals. So, I mean, I look at it as I'll run along and I'll support who I can support. And I like I say, I like having a green choice. And I thought when she picked the Jamu Baraka, that was sort of a, if she would have went with what's her name again, I would have loved that too. From Philly, and I can't think of her name now. Damn it.
Sherry Honkala?
Yes, thank you. I love Sherry Honkala. I'd vote for her anytime, anywhere. Same with Kashama Sawant. There's a lot of really sort of local activists that are big within their communities that need bigger, need more exposure when we can give it to them. So I think that whatever. I guess I'm a pirate. I'm a pirate. I'll jump on whatever ship and ride along with you, man.
Do you know
sort
where
of a pirate
Sherry
stowaway.
do you know where her lawsuit is right now? I know she was suing, and I know there was some
I don't know.
bull crap in that election.
Yeah, that's a tough nut to crack. Running a lawsuit in Philly against the Philly elections is gonna be
I
a
know.
tough days.
But
You know, I mean,
talk about having balls in the Green Party, Jesus. I mean, Sherry is hardcore tough.
yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. You know, that's the thing I like about this. You know, we got to have leaders that are willing to go out and, you know, get arrested in civil disobedience. And we have to have leaders that are willing to lead. I mean, you can't have leaders going to talk about putting on comfortable shoes and walk in picket lines with us. We have to have people that are willing to walk the picket line with us first. And that's where, you know, Bernie Sanders was gigantic in that kind of a thing. It's going out there and organizing with the people and showing where we do agree with each other, and we're gonna make this work for all of us, kind of thing.
I think
20.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say that I think geez, I get a couple of things here, but you know, we're not just voting between three different choices: Jill Stein, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump. Jill Stein, likable as she may be, is just in a different category or tier, and every voter knows that it's not quite equal footing, and you know, at all, in many ways, manifold ways. So that's what I was trying to say the other day about just trying to have like a further left party, one that kind of puts them to shame, one that they're going to have to head off, you know, that they're going to have to like get in front of and head off, be like, okay, this looks pretty formidable and like reasonable and, you know, kind of Bernie like, and that's just again kind of my thoughts on that. And then the other thing I wanted to say was that you know, that gives me no pleasure to talk bad about TYT. Not particularly. I basically, when I don't like people, like when I don't like TYT, I stopped watching them like basically June. It was even before like May or June. I totally stopped watching, maybe even April. And then I stopped watching what's his name, Jordan Sheridan, before the election, because a few days before the election he was like, if they were to release Donald Trump's emails, they'd find something similar. And I typed on his live stream, I was like, no, dude, they can't find out that both parties or both candidates have like the entire media, you know, at their beckoning or whatever, and that's not really, that doesn't make sense. And but you know, but the TYT influence has happened with Mike Figueredo. You know, about like 2 or 3 months ago, I remember seeing his video, and he had this whole video about Medicare or single payer and you know, universal Medicare, and he said, you know, that's got to be our main issue, and that's the thing that we're gonna have to, you know, work on, and maybe, you know, and just like we really got to fight for that. That's the real thing, kind of like what Stevie was saying. You know, Red Economics. And but then just yesterday I tuned in, and he's on a show with David Goodman. He has this interview show. It just came out a few days ago. Mike Figueredo, the Humanist Report guy. So he has a show with this guy, and in the beginning of the interview, he's just like, "Oh, you're from Canada. You're a Bernie guy from Canada. Tell us about your universal health care up there. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Tell us about." And, you know, I just turned it off right there because he was just like overtly or like going out of his way to kind of like sort of, you know, condescend at universal Medicare or single payer. So, you know, I just think that's it's a evidence. Maybe I didn't even like hear it out, so maybe I should have like heard everything of the video. But I just turned it off, and I just think it's like for me that was a feeling like, okay, dude has reversed his position, and it's, you know, maybe I'm just paranoid or.
Well, I think you always had to stick it out because he could have been making a joke. Oh, the horrible things about universal health care. Let's see. There isn't one. What if it was that? All right, keep going.
Yeah. But I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I've heard of a lot of, you know, I know some Canadians that still come down here to get certain kind of treatments for certain things or whatnot. So, I mean, I know that there are, like, obviously they have issues with their healthcare system. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, you want somebody that's going to be unapologetic to those who try to condescend and tell people that you can't get this, or no, you know, it's that. I hear that so much. I think everybody wants the same thing. Everybody feels, and everybody even knows it's the establishment. It's the 1%. That was Bernie's main thing.
So I want to get back to Ben. So whenever you hear someone asking that question about like what are the bad things about Canada's healthcare system, I would say if you can get in a conversation with them, ask them whether the Canadian would want the American healthcare system. And I'm pretty much positive that they'll say no. I forgot what I was gonna say. 2018 is gonna be pretty cool because we get to see all the fruitions of the movements and see where they stand, whether they're true to what they were originally for, like Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, draft Bernie if that ever comes, and then we'll see which Democrats, if they do get elected into office, what they do, how they vote for things, if they ever do take back the House and the Senate. I don't think they will. And then see who primaries each other in the Democratic races, just, you know, Justice Democrats and whatnot. And then we'll see what, and that's the thing, is if those movements fail, like if Justice Democrats fail, TYT fails. And that's a good thing for independent media, because where do you go next? It's going to be Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, you know, Niko House, Hard Bastard, all of the truly independent media. And then draft Bernie might be the only option left. And then we'll see where the DNC fraud lawsuit comes. If the DNC party, no problem. If the DNC party just disappears, I mean, all it takes to defeat the system is to not build up 5-6 third parties, but actually destroy one of the two parties that currently exist, and we're in good shape in 2020 to get actual people
lack
we want.
unity and we lack professionality. That's the things of our constituency and of a third party that it has to come along with those things.
Well, it has to have
structure.
It has to be viewed at some point. It doesn't need to start that way, but at some point, it has to be viewed as viable to the masses.
It's
you know, and that's where Bernie didn't look. You know, I went for Bernie right away because I liked Bernie, but a lot of people didn't even know who Bernie was, and they learned. And so, at this point, I agree with Elon. We see where these different sundry little movements go, and see who's affected, and see what their message is and how they did it, and see if that is the right way to go. Because maybe the people they're pushing forward aren't other people. You know what I mean? It could be that we look at what they got into in 2018, and we go, no, wait a second, this isn't what we were talking about, you know. But maybe they are. And I think I think that the way to organize is to organize around post 2018. And what's going to happen at that point, and figuring out what the moves are and where the movement is going, and getting in that movement. You know what I mean? The people that are obviously going to be leading into that, because I really feel like the guy, you know, the Obama sort of Hillary, the car was in the ditch thing. Well, it doesn't do us any good if they're sitting in the front seat of the car, you know, yelling at us in the mud, pushing the car out. You know, it isn't doing us any good. You know, so I feel like this is a case where everybody gets out, and, you know, the lightest person sits in there and steers from the door. You know, they push too. Everybody pushes, or we don't get the car back on the road at some point. But I feel like as a group I feel like we're in the right. See, I can't like say at this point what car, because I don't know what car.
I know what car I'm pushing. That's all.
Well, I know what one you're pushing.
I'm not going to wait for this guy or that guy.
If the right person is there, and the green message is good. You know, James, that's why I voted for green, because they have a good message.
No, I heard that.
You know, I just feel like I vote as the right change that I want. and who's going to win from there. And if the Greens can build up a movement like that, I'm behind them. But right now there's 15 different groups, including the Greens. And the thing is, the Greens are already on the ballot in a lot of places, which is just, are instantly on the ballot. So that's a good thing. So I just feel like could be a great base to go from. It's just at this point, I don't know who's going to be post 2018, who's going to be that movement that flares people to come and do it, and that's going to be, so to see who the Green Party's going to throw up as their possibles is going to be interesting. Because I don't know that, like you said, Flowers, I like her, and if she runs, that's another great voice. I feel like we're
What if the world went super crazy and Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie? Did I say Bernie? Hey guys. Hey, okay. If Bernie and Tulsi just said, you know what, fuck these parties, I'm going green. That would be so crazy. What do you think would happen?
Media would say they're going to split the Democratic Party and they just want Trump to win again. It's all the Green Party's fault. Look what they're doing. They're going to make it impossible to defeat Trump.
Yeah, of course, media is going to spin it.
They'll say good riddance.
But they could also be seen as the hip choice, man. That's the thing with people. We can actually. Tulsi could run with Barney the dinosaur. I'd vote for.
Graham, go ahead.
So,
as Eugene Debs once said, I would rather vote for what I want and not get it than vote for what I don't want and get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to be practical and honest.
That's how I felt.
Say that I'm gonna basically. I didn't like Hillary. I didn't like what she did within the primaries and everything else, and what it reflected on us. What it meant for our democracy, what it meant for our image abroad, all that. So I just was pretty against it. But next time around, no matter who it is, even if it's somebody really great, like I guess I don't really know the Tulsi. I'm not gonna say Tulsi, but if it's somebody really great, or if it's somebody just like so and so, like Cory Booker, even if it's somebody very centrist. I'm probably, unless Trump really does do good things and somehow the country's looking good and everything's looking pretty good, I can see a positive impact. There's no way I'm going to be pretty much on the side of let's get Trump out of here. So I think that's realistically what everybody knows at the end of the day is the situation. So that's why I don't think there's any need for them to give us anything, because we're going to go back to that let's probably get Trump out or something.
I can't do it.
That's pretty bad. We're going to resign ourselves to basically giving up. I mean, that's what you're saying. I don't
want to wait until after 2018. I want to put pressure on them right now so that they'll acknowledge us and have to basically have a discussion, come to the table with us, and if we put forward something pretty sensible and we're pretty have our standards about that, and just we're pretty clear about what we're kind of wanting, and then maybe force them to come to the table with us.
Here's the thing is that's just another reaction. And we can't react right now. What we got to do is predict, and our predictions are going to be accurate because we know what's happened in the past, what's going to happen again in the future. And I think for 2020 and after 2018 is we build that up as a big campaign for everyone in independent media, making an echo chamber of these are the liars again, and you're going to fall for it again in 2020. And we were right in 2016, we're right in 2018, we're going to be right in 2020. Is the Democratic Party is just going to be against Donald Trump. And that's all that they're going to be about. And the thing is, the more times we're right, the more people are going to start listening to us. No matter how crazy we sound, if we're always right, it doesn't matter how crazy we sound. They're going to be like, hey, it sounded crazy 2 years ago, it sounded crazy 4 years ago, but they're right every time. They're still going to listen. They're going to start listening to us. It doesn't matter, because the world's getting crazier and the crazy people are getting it right. So they have no choice but to listen to the crazy people. And that's us.
Yeah.
I
think thinking about it like negotiations. Negotiations are best when you got them by the balls. And we got him by the balls now. Trump is the worst case scenario to run against for the Republicans to ever run. So right now is the time. The time isn't to get together when times are like this. The time is to say, no, you're coming to us, and this is the way we're going to do it this time, because we've tried your way. We're not going to beat our heads against the wall repeatedly. You got to come to us, and that's just the way it's going to be, or we're going to have Trump again. That's how you negotiate. You negotiate in cold blood, or you don't negotiate. You negotiate knowing you got something to lose too, or you aren't negotiating.
You can't give an inch to these people because they'll take a mile. You know what I mean? Like they'll run somebody that's like, oh well, I'm common sense, I'm pragmatic. I'm not Trump, and it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. It's going to set us back so far because then people will get even more complacent. And I'm not necessarily you per se, but like, the country as a whole, like, we will get comfortable and we will go back to sleep.
And they already didn't buy the Trump panic the first time. So, we got to think of that as not being a winning strategy to just center everything around. Trump panic's a fine thing to use in an election, but it's not something to be the do all and end all of the candidacy of any candidate. It's to be used just as sort of a stick to poke them with every once in a while. That's why you make something like that effective. Like you drive it with a message that says these are our issues, and if you aren't with these issues, you aren't with the times, and you aren't with young people, and this cross section of whatever we are. That's just the way we are, and we don't have to vote for you. We've got options, and we'll use them.
Yeah, and like Trump can be like pretty. Sorry, like he can be pretty horrific and terrifying. Well, not terrifying, but like he's embarrassing to have as president. Like I feel embarrassed that he's in there, and like if we let him win again, like it's going to be even more embarrassing. Like, can't we get our shit together? Like the rest of the world's looking at us like, what the fuck, America? And it's just like right, like. So I can understand, like, oh my God, we have to, like, get this out. But, I mean, we can do better than that. Like, we can do so much better than just not Trump. And, like, I understand how tempting it is. But, like, just stay true to your values and just, you can't negotiate with these terrorists, Once you do that, they know they got you. Don't give in.
Talk about the establishment, those terrorists?
Yeah.
The real terrorists.
The real terrorists.
And I see Stevie, she's ready to choke the screen. Fear breeds mediocrity. The Democrats are counting on people being afraid and voting for some freaking corporate shill piece of garbage and getting back to quote unquote business as usual. That's what they're counting on. I mean, does anybody think that Trump and Pence have any chance in hell of being impeached?
Well,
they're talking about impeaching the ticket, which to me is insane.
That's going to be a tough, no matter what, because they're going to have them cold stone, red-blooded hands, all that bullshit, to get a real impeachment, because there's no way that the Republicans are going to do that to unless it's so bad.
Unless it starts screwing with their money for some reason. Like if Trump actually did what he said he was going to do and become more of a populist and put Hillary Clinton in jail, and really drain the swamp and all that kind of stuff, then he would, then that's when they would start the impeachment proceedings.
Or the Kochs pull the trigger.
Or
say, hey, get this guy. We don't like him.
But it's too good for money for, because it's like he's able to do certain things, and it's the red herring, it's the distraction, while the billionaires, the same, are taking more and more and more and setting setting things on fire. I mean, that was what I believe Steve Bannon's his whole thing was to basically to put people in the positions so that basically just destroy those positions, destroy those.
You think they don't want Pence in there more? I would think
no, they want Trump. Trump is perfect. Trump is money. Everybody on the Democratic, they're doing more fundraising with the Democratic Party. The media is making more money. The people at the top, the people that bought the policy, they don't give a shit who's in office. The Republicans and Democrats are owned by the same people, the same corporations. They're owned, but yeah, well, it's like here. Well, they want the polarized thing. The good cop, bad cop, and to be able to
I'll buy that.
Yeah,
divide. It's the same. It's perfect for them right now.
I mean,
but
they're
running out of time though, and that's why they're really scrambling to do more shit.
To Sir Chad's point, they know that they need each other to exist and stay in power. It's basically a partnership that's mutual for both of them. It doesn't matter who's in, even if it's not a whole conspiracy or collusion.
I mean, it is. Right. It's racketeering. I mean, there's no doubt about it. These guys pay money to policies. It's like cannabis. All these people, the pharmaceuticals, the prison, to all these people are making money, skimming off the top, eating fat off, putting people in jail, all the way around the board. All these little different privatized things. It's like these main big companies own all the prisons, or they all the food that goes in there, and there's not much that these corporate don't have their hands on when it comes to stuff like that. So it's all the same people. It's like probably 200.
All right, so
I'm gonna have to go. I might be back on in a little bit, but my son's up and he's freaking out. So good night, maybe.
Stevie.
I hope you come back, Stevie.
See you in a little bit.
And I think Bram is leaving.
If not, happy 4th.
Are you leaving, Bram? Okay, I thought you were kidding. All right. So independent media, when you were talking, what popped up was the meme that Pepperidge Farm remembers. It's like they're gonna bring back a time where it was bad, but make it sound good because currently it's horrible, right? So that just kind of came in my head. If you guys,
the 90s were great, Ivan. It's either the Democrats tell me how great the 90s were, or the Republicans tell me how great fucking Reagan in the 80s were. Either way, neither one of them were fucking great. We were still stagnated wages. We still started giving money to the rich and taking from the poor. This whole inversion of our economic system happened, and both sides have told us how great it was during that period, and both of them just crashed into the fucking ground.
It's like how everyone loved Ronald Reagan, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I mean. Everybody loves fucking Reagan, or everybody loves fucking Clinton, and it's like neither one of them were good. They were both horrible presidents. Yep. And to sugarcoat it any other way is to be bullshitting to people. We were dealing cocaine directly from. Our CIA was selling cocaine to buy fucking arms, man. I mean, when they're doing that kind of shit, and they're fighting some big crack epidemic on the streets.
They create crack.
Exactly. They create a whole system of throwing poor people in jail, and that keeps the people down. That keeps the people divided. Of scary crackheads gonna come in your house.
Ariel was saying something, and then independent outsider. Were you saying Ariel? By the way, hi.
Yeah. Question for Broken. Question for Broken. Do you remember the reporter who was reporting on that whole thing, on the whole
he was an
drugs for arms?
That was he's an ex-LA undercover cop, DEA agent or something. I don't remember his name, but
he committed suicide. He was like disgraced, blah blah blah. They even made a movie with Jeremy Renner about him. I can't remember the guy's name right now.
Did they trash him in the movie? Or the,
no.
They showed him as a hero.
They went the hero route.
Okay.
Pretty
It
much.
was like he wrote for like the Sacramento Star or something. He wrote for like a paper that wasn't like a super biggie, but it was a fairly like regional, fairly big paper in California, and I can't remember the name of it. And I know who you're talking about. Hi, Ariel. What's up?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you? How's it
Just
going?
fine.
out here
Game
tonight?
73 thing.
Just button heads with all the other goatlings.
I made a sign for when the fly shows up.
Fly says hello.
I got my new triggered sign.
Oh, that's fabulous!
Oh,
Look at
that's
that.
awesome.
It's all 3D. Hey, James.
Yeah.
I can barely recognize you.
In honor of the fly.
Oh, James, I watched Moana yesterday.
I'm honored, James.
And you had mentioned
gecko.
how much you liked it, and it was really beautiful. And I think we should start calling you Maui.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Just thank me now.
I keep thinking Jean-Claude Hilo.
No, I've just had a couple good days kind of off from thinking about anything political or crazy. Just good to take a few days of respite just to kind of whoo-hoo. watch some good movies and just let the brain rest.
Yeah.
So now I'm back in here ready to go again.
Yeah. Crazy is synonymous with politics these days.
Yeah. I went out with Greg and we had the coffee and we started getting into the radical chat yet again. I think it's 4th of July, so we're talking about, you know, I said, you know, when we all have single payer and universal health care and CEOs don't make 400% more than their employees, then I'll start celebrating. But right now, this country is kind of bullshit, in my opinion.
You should run. That's your slogan. This country is bullshit.
It is.
Go,
I mean,
go,
it's
go.
really, but was it ever anything else? I mean, right now, it's like when you start thinking about it, and it's funny because, I mean, I'm related to Thomas Jefferson. Very direct.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's congratulations. It's kind of a weird fluke, but my mom's last name was Jefferson. Her dad's name was Jefferson. It's pretty freaky when you look at, like, a picture of Thomas Jefferson and then look at some of my family on her side because it's like, damn, we look like him. It's a little crazy. But yeah,
I'm supposedly related.
My aunt and
John
uncle on
Wilkes
her
Booth.
side were very into Jimmy Johnson, so that's how we know. And it was a very direct connection. Like you can go trace it all the way back to
Right.
It's crazy.
So if you,
But anyway, yeah, I started thinking about it, and you know, it's like this country was stolen from a giant nation of people, and it was taken over by unelected, rich, white guys. And, you know, nobody was supposed to really have as much clout as the rich white guys. Even the poor white guys didn't have, you know, and the women and anybody of color, you were pretty much persona non grata, you know, unless you were one of those dudes.
Yeah.
You weren't going much of anywhere back then. And I don't know. There's a lot of hefty karma to me to pay down in this country to really get it to be a better place. And, you know, still I think, too, we're pretty young, you know, in terms of countries.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just still some growing pains. I don't know. But we started talking, too, about, like, just, you know, how the whole Faustian deal, you know, between politicians and huge corporations and how they pretty much got it locked down, you know, and that's why we don't have real candidates to choose from, and that's why we don't get real choices because because the corporate elites always are playing the game, and they can twist it so that we go, well, it's all the government's fault. We can be mad at the government, but not them, right? They'll make it look like it's the government. The government is definitely accountable because, again, they're making that deal with the guys in the dark back rooms, and they're taking the dirty money. But the other thing, too, we were talking about is how, you know, they'll defund things like Planned Parenthood, or they'll defund these things, and then they'll say, see, it failed. There was a story that Greg told me about this guy in Oklahoma. He was a teacher, and his wife was also a teacher, and he won, like, Teacher of the Year living in Oklahoma. And then once that happened, they were offered better jobs down in Texas where they would be paid $40,000 more a year.
Right.
So they left. Did you hear about it? They left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically that's the government saying, see, they're public school teachers, see, public system doesn't work, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no, it does work if you'd actually put some damn money into it, if you'd fund it properly. Then it would work great.
Right.
You know, and I'm worried that if we get, if you've seen the protests going in California for single payer, they're camping out outside of Rendon's office, and they're not leaving, and they've got an objective. It's not like the Occupy Wall Street where they just kind of made a stinky mess around the place. No, these people are focused. They're like, we have an objective. It's like, it's not like, we hate the 1%. It's like, well, who doesn't? So
aren't they like dumping? They're dumping like flyers in his office, and
yeah,
I heard there's all sorts of
It's pretty awesome. But what scares me, I guess, is that say they get it. Say they just keep pushing the drum and they get what they want, and say it overflows into the rest of the country. That would be awesome, right? You know, if everybody started to say, well, you know what, they got it there, let's pick it up here and try to do the same thing. So it scares me if we did get a single payer system or something, you know, really good, you know, universal system, if they would just, you know, defund it, you know, not really fund it properly, and then go, see, it doesn't work. Government healthcare doesn't work. They didn't fucking
As you were talking, I immediately mismanagement. I immediately thought that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my thoughts so far tonight.
One way to sort of ensure against that is to join coalitions so that the whole West Coast, each state does it in the same system with the same with more purchasing power for drugs and for space in these hospitals, you know, because you got to like purchase the doctors or the hospitals to be their people. But if you're the one single payer, that sure makes you more powerful across that whole thing, you know. And so doing it regionally even, and then you're locking each state into, they have to keep to the agreement amongst the states.
Right.
So the state, if one state government gets hinky, they can't do it because they made an agreement with another state, you know. And I think that would be a good way to ensure against it.
I think
to make it spread.
Eventually, it's just like gay marriage. You know, they won't be able to fight it forever. They won't be able to fight it forever.
Hopefully.
The demand will become too great over time. I mean, it's more and more people not getting adequate health care or no health care through their employers. More and more people lose it every day. You know, it's a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when, you know.
Right.
So what do you think about having a fundraiser? Like with doing this, like maybe like the list that you have in the thing, putting all those people having that panel, and maybe doing like an all-day fundraiser, something, and then pulling guests to have these conversations. You know, we talk about the truth to power thing, we talk about that and all these issues. We can literally come up with the format. You got the 5 guys or whatever, the 5 people on there, and then bring in the different guests and try and raise money and say, okay, this is everything needs to be transparent. So we can say, this is where the money is going to go to. And first things first is to have the organization put together right, because, you know, with Hard Bastard and everybody, you know, it's a very, very solid team. When you watch all of them, you get a good sense of it's an overall perspective that we have to focus on illuminating, basically. So with this platform, it seems like it works great. So to be able to, I don't know, set a date and then trying to pull everybody's followers and say, let's raise it, let's cause some damage to the establishment, and let's say okay, well then while you have the mass streaming with the panel, then maybe we tweet things out, you know, anytime there's you know, a bunch of movement, you know, something trending, there's always some sort of magazine or some sort of you know, follow page or something like that, that somebody's talking about it. So giving them something to talk about, like, you know, bring Susan Sarandon on, you know, have some high profile people and say, what do you think about this, blah, blah, break it down, and then frame it to where they either they come across as an asshole or they support it. You know what I mean? Because it's framing. Everything's framing. Like, and I don't know.
It doesn't take a lot of work in some cases. Like today, I heard, Greg was telling me about how Chris Christie, like the government in New Jersey is in shutdown. One of the things they told people they can't go to the beach, says nobody's at the beach. But Chris Christie had this family vacation plan, so he freaking goes down there anyway and flings himself around the beach, and, you know, people taking pictures of him. And basically when they say, well, that's not really cool, it's like, because nobody can go, he's like, well, then they can become governor. It's like, wow, talk about let them eat cake moment. I mean, really, it's like, it doesn't take a lot of work to make this guy look like a shithead. Totally.
Well,
I was actually going to say
just
something funny.
walk over there.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say something.
I think when Bridges, it got so much attention, and then whenever Clinton messed with the elections and things, it got zero attention.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, it's like part of what he said was true, and he said this isn't really news, you know, and I mean, in some sense it's right, but what it is that it's, yet again, people in a position of power being—
It's an example. It's
Anyway, I was going to say, the only reason why nobody wanted him to be at that beach because he was probably afraid of being fat shamed.
Probably.
Or mistaken for a whale.
Armstrong cheated in the Prince.
Wow.
I've had that problem before.
James.
I was
only
I
for
was looking at how big them fucking hams were that you
No,
could cut
James.
off of that big.
You're demigod-like.
Jesus. Guys, I'm going to go for a second because my back's starting to hurt. I'll be back.
Okay. I hope you feel better. You have yourself a
Later,
good
man.
Happy 4th.
Oh,
There,
I'll
Andy.
probably be back in about 20, 30 minutes. I'll talk to y'all later.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye.
You do.
Yeah, I like that that Trump emasculated Christie. He made him look such like a little boy, and it's so but you know what? See, the good thing about all that, I think, is that it is waking people up, you know, to see the blatant, you know, just. It's like all the stuff that he's doing, the other presidents or whatnot, everybody else is doing it in a slick way, and he's just no apologies. Which, again, is what I think that aspect of a leader is needed too. You know, I think that's one reason. Not the way that he represents it, if that makes sense. I'm saying as far as, you know, an offensive type leader, if that makes any sense, because I feel like people are like that to go after the offensive toward the establishment.
I just thought that sitting in that chair, it was like so close to the sand and stuff. He just looked like one of them little fat babies making the dribble castles in the sand. I mean, you know, to have like the whole beach shut down so that the baby could sit and make his dribble castles and the bullies wouldn't knock it over was just like flew through my head, because it was just he just looks the part of the sort of the broken man who's just sucking the last out of it. He took the helicopter there and back so that he could be there for like one night with his family. You know, New Jersey, he flew around with Trump all the time, had no problem taking off from New Jersey then. I mean, what the hell? If you're going to take a vacation, man.
Yep. There she blows. That's great. That's too much. It's combining the pirate thing with.
If you painted it in blue, it'd look like the chick from Willy Wonka. Violet.
Uh-huh.
I like making Chris Christie jokes. It's great. I think it's fun.
The whole family really did look Jersey. Don't let the Jersey Shore thing fool you. You know, Jersey doesn't look like eight beautiful young people, you know, that go to the thing. Jersey looks like fat dudes, you know, with hoagies in their hand, walking down the boardwalk, you know, with their flip flops and their funny hat. You know, that's like Jersey to me. You know, but Jersey was fun to go to. The idea that they would shut down the state parks on the 4th of July is insane.
Yep.
Because the state parks are where like everybody came that wanted to go and spend money like on the boardwalks and stuff, but didn't have the cash to stay at a hotel. Yep. They would go to, you know, when we were kids, that's what we'd do, man. We'd go down to Wildwood and walk, you know, go eat cardboard pizza and walk around, you know, get high, you know, watch the fireworks and shit, you know.
I love that you call it cardboard pizza, because my dad, like, he'll make like a simple little sandwich, and I'll ask him what he's fixing. He's like, cardboard sandwich. Don't go on about the cardboard sandwich.
Oh man, boardwalk pizza could be the worst. I mean, and it's in Jersey. There's no pride in it. I mean, you know, you go to a pizza place, usually anywhere in Jersey, you're South Jersey in Philly, you know, New York. You go to a pizza place, you get pizza.
Right.
You don't get something that's like it's like school cafeteria pizza, except for bad school cafeteria pizza.
Right. Gotcha.
But because everybody's loaded, they didn't give a crap. You know, they just shovel it in. So you know, it was like you're taking away some of the business that all those people depend on. You know,
sure.
Stuff like that. You're losing tax money more than you're saving.
Yeah. The thing that's
you
funny,
can't close the beaches on the 4th of July.
Right.
I mean, because I'll find it and kill it for 10,000.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, talking about people being, you know, really obese or unhealthy, and it's kind of strange. It's like, you know, I don't think it's a matter of shaming somebody for not being in perfect shape. That doesn't exist anyway. Everybody's got things they don't like about themselves, but what it is you want to be healthy no matter what your weight. And what I see in a lot of places in America are people that look either, you know, they're very obese or they're very underweight, or they look really malnourished. They don't look healthy. Like their skin looks ashen, and you can tell they're not eating well. They're eating, but they're not eating healthy. And I think that's really more the point. It's not about whether you're thin, fat, in between. That's not it. It's about whether you're healthy, whether you're getting your fruits and vegetables and your nourishment and your water. And it's like you can just kind of tell by looking at people if they're you know, doing that or not.
Water, like alcohol,
and have it.
Like, yeah.
I got a little water right here.
Yeah.
Now it's sticking in my head. I can't help but thinking about Jaws, and I mean it's Jowls. Jowls shut down the beaches.
Right. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
There he is up there. We're gonna need a bigger crane to get him off the beach.
Someone had to go there.
Somebody with a little crane came out and tried to pick him off, and he pulled it towards him and started eating the driver.
Doesn't matter. It was a poor guy. I can eat him. It's fine.
Helicopters don't have large payloads. Is anybody else able to fly it with him? Do they have to keep the rest of the aircraft empty?
They get one of them Sikorsky skyhooks.
I haven't seen what they're using.
You sure it's not one of the stallions that the Navy uses? One of the big.
Could be.
those big Sikorsky jobs that got that could carry a payload under them. They're just like a flying skeleton, but they got a crane in the middle. They could pick up like a shipping container and fly with them.
It's not Hercules. It's
that's that Russian.
I don't know the name of it.
There's that Russian one that's gigantic and can carry huge loads. Maybe they get that to fly in.
I'm sure Christie carries pretty heavy loads, and the toilets at the State House probably clog a lot.
Oh,
that's why he had to go to the beach. He couldn't bring the family to the house.
Well, they had a dry pile underneath the cherry sitting on to keep them from sinking into the sand. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure he drives piles.
Oh, God.
So what would you guys think about Ebon? Like maybe you running a debate, because like right now the whole debate system is ran by Democrats and Republicans, but I think it would be awesome if we built up a debate system, or having certain people put on there and build that up. Eventually, take on Bill Maher, because I would love to go out. If we focus on going after some of these left people, or even some of these right people, like we could do the independent stuff individual, and by it I don't know the structure. I feel like everybody, everybody has a good grasp of what needs to be done and what needs to be illuminated, what issues, what's the middle ground, or the right path to move forward to. That's what Broken was talking about. I think the goal. So I don't know what you guys would want to call it, but imagine having we can have Tim Black and debate somebody, or we could do like a formal setting somehow.
So if we went back in time, and how Jill Stein kind of had her own debate, basically when Hillary Clinton was going against Donald Trump, she just had her own debate of what her answers were if she was there. I think that was kind of wrong. It was a good idea. It just wasn't executed the right way. I think what should have happened was she got on with the other presidential candidates, had their own debate, had people, not like a big news media there, but actually had people who are like experts in economy, experts in foreign relations, experts in whatever, and they ask questions, hard, tough questions about them, about their policies and their stances, and make it so it's not just some CNN or MSNBC or whatever panelist asking soft questions. Is you actually have these experts who are representing the American people as to what's actually going on and what their thoughts are about it. And I think that would have been great.
Larry King runs a third party debate, and he does as good a job as anybody I've seen doing debates, because he is good. He's good about researching people. He isn't just Larry King's funny. He's a funny cat, but when there's a reason why he stayed on television. It's because he knew even if he's glad-handed everybody, he knew about how to glad-hand them. Yeah. And in the debate, he wasn't that way. In the debate, he was very much the news guy, and he had other sort of independent news people there to also ask questions. So the questions were pointed and very much like you're saying, Ivan. Yeah. I mean, a very good direct debate amongst. It doesn't have to be with a Democrat there. It could be with other, with the Libertarian and other people there. So
here's the thing about with Jill Stein just being there by herself, because everyone who likes Jill Stein already is going to tune in, but anyone who doesn't like, or anyone outside of the Green Party support, they're not going to watch Jill Stein by herself. So when you add in libertarians, you're going to have libertarians seeing the Green Party is saying. You're gonna have Green Party people seeing what the Libertarian is saying. You add another person who's like the Constitution Party or just an independent. They're gonna see all types of viewpoints and you know, their thought processes. And then when you have these, so I guess, experts or someone like Dr. Cornel West, or you know, some type of economist that's well known, you get some star power in there. So you get to see pretty much a show, but a debate where you get one of the brightest minds in our country asking questions of what these candidates' thoughts are on policies. And I think it won't be the entertainment show like ooh ah type of thing that the Democratic and Republican debates are, but they're actually more substantive. And when people start going to these types of debates, they're gonna like them a lot better than the standard. They know, you know what you're gonna get in Republican Democrat presidential debate. You're just gonna get a whole bunch of nothing.
It's very platitudey and that's a word.
I like that word, George Bush. No, so what I like Evans, what he's saying, that's great. So Amy Goodman did that on Democracy Now, or was it PBS? No, it was Democracy Now, where Jill Stein was fielding the same questions that both Bernie and Hillary were fielding. I don't know if it was in real time. I think it was afterwards, right? So if you do have people like Snork up there asking questions about infrastructure that are reputable people of the industry, then definitely that makes more sense. You know, just like when they have and then you might get these silly questions. The more social aspect of it was the social media people that come in on Twitter or Facebook, and they choose the most popular question that comes around, which I truly believe were just questions that they wanted to use. There were other questions that I for sure wanted to be asked but were never asked. So as long as the media controls that stage, I don't think we're ever going to get that. But if we do, that would be the way to go. Have real professionals in the field that are high up there, you know.
So you could like fact check them in real time, basically.
Yeah, they're right there. In fact, they'll say,
and they'll right.
Yeah.
And also, I would say this too, around issues. PBS used to be incredible. Like there was a day when PBS used to do like really groovy television, and like Yvonne's saying, they would have like a row of professors in different things, or you know, experts in different things, and they would you know, ask like people from. They would have debates amongst each other, and so you would have a real, as far as you'd have real information during the debate, not buzzwords, not like these people weren't like lobbyists. These people were people that were experts in law and ethics and things like that. So they would argue law and ethics, and they also did shows like they would get a group of people from different levels of government. And they would say, okay, right now there has been a flash flood in, you know, Tulsa. And they would talk to the guy that's like the Tulsa local head of the Tulsa emergency. And they would go up through the chain and show people how decisions were made and how they would figure out ways. It was like wargaming things out, but on TV. And doing that around issues, I think, is a very good thing. Because I think that it helps bring in, like Yvonne said, you want to bring in other voices and other audiences to sort of get crossover on these issues. Yeah. And I think that people arguing finer points of things isn't above normal people. That's the thing about television. They think they have to third grade everything, and that's not true. And it ruins. Well, they market it. That's the problem. Is they're marketing something rather than trying to do information. So yeah. I love what Yvonne's saying. I think that it's possible to have very cogent, intelligent discussions about just issues, even not even candidates, just issues that people need to understand, to get a bigger view of, how bad climate change is, or how bad, our election system is, or whatever that one subject is, how bad free, the internet freedom is, how what are the threat, there is to it. So there's a ton of things that can be just debated, and even amongst ourselves with just reading for a week on subjects, we could debate fairly decently amongst ourselves on subjects just because we're kind of a no bullshit kind of people. So
yeah,
I wouldn't want for some expert to present something, not just only that they can be biased, but to present something make somebody look stupid just because they want to do that, because and then they're rebuttaling it and they're too involved with it. I would rather something by a panel of experts be decided on as a question or an issue. But that's just me. I defer to there's this little passage right here. I'll read real quick. It's from Zhuangzi. It says, suppose you and I argue. If you beat me instead of my beating you, are you really right and I am really wrong? If I beat you instead of you are beating me, am I really right and you are really wrong? Or are we both partly right and partly wrong? Or are we both wholly right and wholly wrong? Since between us neither you nor I know which is right, others are naturally in the dark. Whom shall we ask to arbitrate? If we ask someone who agrees with you, since he has already agreed with you, how can he arbitrate? If we ask someone who agrees with me, since he already agrees with me, how can he arbitrate? If we ask someone who disagrees with both you and me to arbitrate, since he already disagrees with you and me, how can he arbitrate? If we ask someone who agrees with you and me, since he has already agreed with you and me, how can he arbitrate? Thus, among you, me, and others, no one knows which is right. Shall we wait for still others? So that's just a little passage.
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
I mean, I think it's more you say you have maybe 2 or 3 people that are in a panel for one type of policy, and they come up with questions that they ask, and then all the candidates give their replies, and then the panelists kind of give their thoughts on the matter because they know what it's like. So they'll say, we tend to agree more say with Jill Stein than any other candidates because this is the truth. This is what's going on. So they know all this in-depth knowledge, and they kind of know which candidate has the most knowledge about that particular subject, and they'll agree with them or disagree with others in that set thing. And that could be dry for some people, but then you might have some comedians, imagine Jon Stewart that's hosting it, right? People are gonna love Jon Stewart, and I mean, as opposed to anyone else out there these days, because I think everyone's kind of sold out to the Democratic Party. But or have someone who will break the tension. Maybe you'll have oh gosh, what's his name? He just did another live comedy routine. He was away for a long time.
Oh, Chappelle?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. Imagine just having...
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So even though that there's comedy towards it, he has a different way of thinking, right? And then he'll... whatever happens next, he knows how to break the ice instead of the next question. So...
It's like a spokes on a wheel kind of thing. The people with the questions, the groups that are there, they're like all the spokes, and they go to sort of a central questioner kind of thing, and with enough background that the person can understand why they're asking the question. Because sometimes that happens where somebody's asking a question that's above their depth, so a politician will just deflect rather than answer the question. So I love the idea of then after it, like you had said, if you did something afterwards where the people broke down what each politician said, just that little group that spoke broke it down so they could say why the question, why each candidate or each person's answer you know, what was right, what was wrong in it, who had the most truth on their side, that kind of thing, or who had, and so I think it would be interesting, even if you had differing views within that spoke.
Right.
If people can formulate a question that answers a question or an argument between them as far as what side a candidate may be on. You know, I mean, if somebody wants to be there and say that spewing CO2 isn't harming the atmosphere, they are allowed to sort of be there to ask that. You know, the question is formed. You know, does CO2 affect the atmosphere or whatever? You understand what I'm saying? But both sides are represented in the question. It's just asking a fair question. So I'm shutting up.
What happens if you start with the information? Because I mean, with the science and the information, you know, we could start with have a WikiLeaks conversation. Maybe that was the topic, and then you can read the truth, the lines and whatnot, and then you can debate about, you know, what it means, or, you know, that, you see what I'm saying? Like, maybe have the information first with so that way the people that are having the debate or discussing the topic have that information, and the information has to obviously be, you know, sourced.
It can be tough, but I think that can be doable. Imagine just kind of like the Oscars. You know how they kind of have like a 2-minute reel?
Yes.
So
exactly.
You can have like a 2-minute reel, a minute or 2-minute reel of what the information is. Have some numbers up there so the audience understands, and then you ask that question. Context. And it can be done that way.
Basically, what we have right now with Tim he already gets access to different politicians and things, so it's already basically happening. I mean, maybe it's a pleasant conversation rather than a debate, but you know, and the more that like TYT asserts itself as like, hey, we're one of you guys, like we're one of you, puts on the glasses, like
debate, James.
They're never gonna stop doing that. I don't want to just hate on them, but I'm just saying. I mean, they're really what keeps the rest of us from being like the rest of the real independent media from maybe like getting together. Like they snatched off like Mike Figueredo and what's his name, Jimmy Dore, you know, from the group, from the flock. I mean, and they're kind of like confusing things, muddying the premise and whatever. I don't know. And it was so cool to see. Like, I love how Tim Black got with Hard Bastard. He meets all kinds of good ones. But I think that having somebody that thinks differently than you is really important, and or is from diverse backgrounds or whatever, like present. So all these guys are like they're capable of doing shows like where it's just them, and they like do like our show or whatever it is, and it's really great. But I don't know. It seems like it'd be easier and then also possibly better if like some of the really good ones just got together, just really good ones, like just Hard Bastard and like Mike and Tim, and did like a regular thing, and maybe like brought in and interviewed whoever they wanted, so like kind of a sit down thing, like. But I don't know. I kind of think like joint hosting a massive show where it was just like something that was the singular, you know, premiere, you know, a show for the not TYT for the independent media, and like
I think Jimmy Dore is
interesting. I can imagine. I could fathom a show where like it never got like it could go on for a long time. A lot of good things could be hashed out, and then like just having all these great minds together, then inviting the right people and having. And basically a very lively, very organic, fun, like long conversation and show with all those great guys. It must be a lot easier, like taking the training weights off for those guys to have people they kind of clicked with and can work with, but also from diverse or opposite views.
I drew it out. So here we go. Ready? So just off of what you guys are saying, this is Jon Stewart. He's the host. There's the experts right here. And they can switch in and out per question. Another one could take on. And then here's the candidates. I'd like to see 3. And then they'd switch at every break so nobody gets to sit in the middle. And then in the back, right? And in the background, you'd have explaining before the question on what the issue is. So people would have an idea what's going on. This, in my opinion, would be a really perfect debate. But not going to happen.
Right.
No, it'll happen.
Go ahead.
It'll happen because it's strategically everything's been tried. Everyone's been doing it on their own. But you know, once you start uniting, everything will just start flowing together.
They're going to have to because they're going to
eventually. I mean, not. tomorrow. I'm just
Oh, no,
saying.
yeah.
Who picks the experts who ask the questions?
Well, we could
There we
do
go.
it. We,
Yeah, that's a good
That's a
question.
good question, Forsaken. Maybe you could
Well,
come up with an answer to that.
Yeah.
I think people that know about that field, somebody that's an expert in that field, we seek out people that, and we could put together our own council.
So what you could do
I
is
nominate as an expert.
yeah, I would nominate Snark too. So basically, you would have a list of everyone that wants to submit questions or just provide your credentials, and you get accepted. And then once you're accepted, everyone votes for 3 people that you would pick to be the representative of that particular field. And then they get to ask the questions, but they're also taking questions from other people in that field. So they kind of talk amongst themselves. You know, they say, hey, I would like this. I would like to be the representative because I've been here, I've done this, and this is my history. Like, these are books I've authored, these are my credentials, etc. And then like everyone just does a vote after they present like a minute or 2 minute video of themselves, and then they get to be the person that's representing them.
So again, what I want to say that our newscasters and adding to the credibility of like independent commentators and discussions and things is just having the backbones of research and people who are like have education or whatever, and people basically I don't want to just see those guys get together and have a super show, but also them to have like people working for them. And because there's something I was thinking about today, it occurred to me today, which is just that basically there's the news and there's the reporting of the news and like actual things that happen, and then there's all this other sorry excuses for news. No, there's all this other things that go along with it. There's all this discussions and commentary which can just go on forever. So if there's no news, we'll just go on with the commentary and just kind of like drill our just our junk in further, like just basically like our propaganda. So I mean, like it's kind of fun. It's kind of important maybe to separate those two, like distinct. Like this is reporting of the news. This is something that's happened, and we're doing a fair, accurate, just like reporting of it to you, and just relaying that to you, and like so that. But if we're just all commentary, if we're just all discussions endlessly, that should be subsequent, and that is secondary. And we have to have like a backbone, because every single news story is also related, pertaining back into, interconnected with everything else, all history, all past precedents and occurrences within parties and bills, and so it's like really important and really fundamental to have people and to push ourselves, never take anything for granted, to be like always trying to ask more and do more, and that professionalness and kind of working together could, I don't know, it could happen, but
I think Ivan's strategy I think like even polling the experts in certain fields, like you make a call for people in a field, when the people put out their names, everybody sees the list of names. You do like the top 3 rank file voting, let the people vote too, and sort of do it that way. And let the people nominate, like, if we're talking about it in the environment, like a Josh Fox or somebody that is known, but isn't necessarily a super expert on it, but has a deep depth of communication and a knowledge of the thing. And so, like, having sort of, to go with what Ivan said, it's sort of or maybe it's James, some sort of a star power kind of thing to it. You add people into it that are known in their fields, because plenty of people are known in popular culture that have certain things that they are passionate about that maybe people either do or don't know about. And so it makes them pseudo experts on things. They can take whatever the experts are saying that may not be English, in real English enough for everybody to understand and communicate it, is what I'm saying.
They know how to find the people that can communicate it.
Well, or just they have a proven record of being able to communicate a subject, communicate about a subject knowledgeably enough to help, help. I mean, because if you're gonna have a group of people that's an expert in your field, have a group of people and sort of have a spokesperson kind of thing is what I'm saying.
Snark,
and that helps to do that.
Snark, go ahead.
to make James layout work, I would give them shock collars because of the way they keep talking past their time.
I mean, even if we did it like with this online format here, I mean, imagine being just having a digital to start debate type thing where everybody could just click the link in order to
for
and then they could,
yeah.
you know.
So for Snork's comment, I think you just shut off their mic. So you get 2 minutes. Once your 2 minutes are up, your mic is muted.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they should be doing that a long time ago.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why they don't do that, but
pretty simple.
Yeah.
Switch.
Because they want to have people selected ahead of time and pre-screen and approve the questions.
Right. Well, true.
I mean, during the primaries, I mean, they actually, I don't know what the minutes were. Hillary had like 43 total minutes of talking time, or so, I don't know. It's like almost twice as much as Bernie. You know, it was just really bad. And it was
I think you have to allow the questioner you have to give the questioner the power over the switch. You know, they have like a chess timer, because if they start doing that thing where they're just running out the clock, you know, they're filibustering.
I like
shut them off and say that wasn't the question. The question was this. It was yes or no, blah, blah, blah.
You know what would be good? Is if they start...
You better.
What was that?
At the timer.
Come on.
You're there. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, that's me, Kevin. I said I like Snork's idea with a shock collar timer.
Great.
What if there's a yes no question? Maybe they start with a yes or no question, right? And if they don't answer the yes or no question with a yes or no, instead of getting like a 5 minute, instead of like if they don't answer it with a yes or no, they don't get to talk about it. So
yeah, pass. You can just yes or no and then follow up.
Yes or no questions are like a dichotomy, like a black and white. It's like things. Many times things are degrees. Things are like.
No, you got. I mean, you got to take a stance on what you're
fabricating.
It's the question.
Yes or no's are really easy. You can say you support something and say yes, but then also submit the bad sides for it. But for the whole part that you're actually
if you're not allowed to say anything other than yes or no, then you're not allowed.
Look, this is easy. Can you answer a yes or no question? I don't think we should have and then you're muted. If you don't know how to answer a yes or no question, you're not in the debate. That's the whole point of a debate.
You have to say yes or no and then explain your answer.
Exactly. You're given 2 minutes to say yes
or no. Or no because.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I was, and I don't believe in yes or no questions as a strategy sometimes on things, because sometimes there aren't yes or no questions. They're a reporter trying to put a person in a corner rather than information.
Well,
sometimes the allowing a person to explain it gives you a better understanding of, okay, what if I frame the question in this way? What would be your answer, to sort of dig out where they are?
Yeah.
That's, I like the way Don's thinking. I like the way James is. I like the way everybody's thinking, because I think it's the only way to dig anything out of politicians that makes sense.
Go ahead,
well, I mean, because you go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should just make it a giant, like, have you ever drinking game. And every time it's like, basically like, have you ever taken money from Monsanto? Have you ever voted against your constituents? That kind of thing.
Well,
make it fun, make it interesting.
Well, that would be a good show right there. Like you against your record. Like make its own show to say, okay, bring somebody onto the show, like, and say, here's your record, and have somebody debate your record with you.
I've played the Have You Ever game a lot of times. I did it in China. I played it in China. It was fun. but like maybe it'd be like a will you ever, and maybe it could be like a fiduciary thing, like okay, you're gonna be like you know, be impeached if you don't actually aren't proven to actually stand up for these things that you promise you're gonna. So be careful, tread lightly before you say you're gonna do something, because you're gonna have to actually do that. We're gonna hold you to it. See to it that you do that actually.
So like the whole yes or no. I mean, yeah, you can have some really bad yes or no questions to try to set someone up, but I mean, simple questions like, do you support fracking? Hillary Clinton never supported it. And what did Bernie say? Bernie said no. He didn't have to say much after that.
Exactly. You got what I'm saying though. About
Yeah.
Sometimes questions are a yes or no. Sometimes they are nuanced, and so I like that yes or no. I like when a person that knows what they're talking about, or when it's a simple question like, "Or do you support fracking?" That is a yes or no. You know, I mean, and so I really hope that was a perfect example.
I think the parties need to work together, no matter who the parties are. They need to work together about it. That's pretty much we could all agree on. And so maybe if the questions like, I mean, it probably already works like this, but yeah, I think that it's like important for people from both sides to get together and decide what the questions are going to be. So then, just like in a court case, you kind of work out what's presented to the judge, what's acceptable evidence. I don't know
The
what.
third parties are never going to work together because that loses the power to themselves. I mean, the whole
give it back to the women's league, the Women's League of Voters. They ran the debates. They were great. They were good debates, you know, and they weren't partisan in either direction. You know, they were fairly straightforward, real debates, and not these things they make up between the parties. We can't allow them to do it. You know,
I want real shit.
Because you take all the power away from the parties, and you say, yes, you're going to put the Libertarians and the Green Party on the stage because they have enough people to be at least get a hearing, you know, because this is a big stage, and y'all can handle getting questioned by people to your right and to your left or whatever. If you can't do that, you can't be a Democrat or Republican. Democrat or Republican's got to stand for something in there, and both sides of that argument, you know, that helps for the whole dynamic too. So I'm for taking it away from the parties, putting it back into private hands that were really nonpartisan. You know, that was a nonpartisan group that ran it. So anyhow,
should there be?
Making it a giant media fiasco, or like making it a giant media like buzz and like entertainment and like something for ratings, entertainment, and drama side. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that it's like making a spectacle out of it. Is what I want to do, but at the same time, with that, prefacing it that way, let me ask you, you know, what would make a debate, you know, given that we all know what a debate looks like now, what would make that more like something that you wouldn't want to miss? Like, what would make that something more like
Jimmy Dore against Jake?
You know?
Jimmy Dore.
Like, it's not a boost, and it's like, people, you know, that's gonna be good. You know, or something like that. Like maybe you invite like the KKK and some radical, I don't know, you know, anarcho-terrorist groups, like crazy anonymous people in there to go ask questions, like maybe something that's going to make it, you know, Lady Gaga and like, I don't know, constituencies from like some weird country, I don't like Papua New Guinea, I don't know, something that like there's going to be a halftime show with like, you know, fireworks and dancers, I don't know, something
produced. It needs to be produced and branded into something where people feel like, okay, this is a legit something to watch. This is legit to you know, like you say, like maybe like a fight, you know,
maybe allowing cussing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
maybe if there's like an argument that has to be solved in like arm wrestling, I don't know.
No.
Hey, maybe I'm old school, okay, but the Allman Brothers play. They didn't jump around on stage. They played for 3 hours, and it was a hellacious show. I'd go see like Jethro Tull. He'd have a huge stage show, be a great show. It's a lot of energy that should be in the music and not in the show. I mean, that's the thing. It's the politics, it's not the show around the politics. That's the problem. It's too polished. It needs to be dry as fucking dirt, and it needs to be straightforward. Like Yvonne said, it needs to be people know what the hell they're talking about, asking real questions to people and saying, no, that isn't an answer. You know, that you haven't answered what I was asking follow-up questions and digging it out of them, because you aren't going to get it out of anybody if you know, and nobody's going to. That's how you find out where people really are. You know, if Hillary Clinton stood there and had to be sort of, you know, and not, and yeah, badgered down. The person asking the fucking question can badger the person that's answering the question, because if they ain't answering it, they need a good badgering. That's in my.
I want tough, critical people, but I also want like Sam. I'm a sucker, I guess. I want like Sam B there making everything funny, but you know, but the problem is Sam will only be doing that one-sided.
Stevie,
You're
go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
You're going to get people tuning in for the show and then going out in the kitchen and getting their stuff like a commercial during the debates.
Yeah. So Stevie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think if people knew that people like Hillary Clinton were going to be questioned, like, legitimately, they would definitely tune in. You know, if they were going to be seriously grilled, I mean, who wouldn't want to watch that? Who wouldn't want to watch, like, Trump have to actually, like, answer a question? You know what I mean? I'd watch it.
Them sweat. Yeah. Watch them sweat. People love seeing people on pedestals get torn down, man. Stevie's right on this. You don't need a show, because that's the show. The show is watching them sweat.
Okay, so the thing that happens when these narrators or these hosts present this is what Broken was saying is they won't get a yes or no question. They'll get the question is, what's your position? What's your stance? How do you feel? When it should be a yes or no question. But it's also good to get that perspective as well, maybe on a follow-up. That's what I'm saying. But in all of these debates, the most recent debates have been pathetic. But I don't trust him. I don't trust him now. I'm probably not going to trust him in the next few years. Until we connect Panda as being the frickin' WikiLeaks, we're still at the mercy of the corruption.
Well, we already know the answer to that, James. It was Russia. Got hacked.
That's right.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, whatever that means.
Right. Well, you know, you guys.
Proof is in proof. That means.
I think it still has to be art directed, pop culture. It has to be the shit where people are like, this is what, and what he was saying about having entertainment or having a pop culture, creating the narrative to where, or creating what is popular. That's what we have to do. You do that by music. You do that by film. You do that by entertainment. So having other elements that create that, because that's what the mainstream media. We just have to use. We have to use their weapons against them, and that's what it is.
Sort of towards my wheelhouse, man. But I would say I don't really look at it as in terms of like trying to market at all. Like, because I look at it only from my own point of view of like I want to I don't want to be. I want to respect my audience and try to be brief or something, or try to be clear. And I want to know what my audience is. But other than that, I don't want to necessarily be pop culture.
Well, no, it's the idea of it's the perspective. I think that's the only way to do it, is to get people to make that the popular opinion, the popular thing for people.
It's all about being on the edge of pop culture, or about pushing things and knowing. Like I saw an interview with a creative, like comedy guy, Dan Harmon, I guess, or maybe it was his Harmontown, but he was just saying like those great, really like classic comedians were always the ones that were like just kind of going out there like on the edge of what was acceptable and pushing that and messing with that.
Right. I see what you're saying. Like the tactic of the pulp culture. So there's like there's different. I understand what you're saying. It has to be raw and real shit. It's got to be real artists, real entertainers, real people that are doing that believe in what they say, that help illuminate and draw attention to the real issues, rather than the Luke Bryan puppets and these
things. I just look at people like having millions of views for video games and millions of views for the silliest things, and like And like, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just cynical. Like, I know there's all these great like philosophy discussions or different things that get like no views. They get like nobody.
Because we have to do it.
Necessarily trying to get a bunch of views.
I mean, that's why you get, I mean, it shouldn't turn into a spectacle, but having comedians in place to kind of transition and break the ice and to just kind of bring levity to like very tough topics, it helps. It helps views, and that's why.
Just to throw a name out there, maybe Lee Camp.
Your branding has to be on.
Yeah. So Stevie, we couldn't hear you. All right.
Lee Camp would be a great person. Not only, you know, is he funny, but he's got, you know, the reputation of being trustworthy. So, I mean, like, he would be great for like some, you know, levity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lee Camp and Jimmy Dore, both of them are.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be perfect.
And another thing is, I'm not sure if it should happen or not, because it gives a disadvantage to someone who's actually served in politics before. But imagine having a video of one politician, having them prepared. So like Hillary Clinton had a lot where she said one thing and said another thing another time, and just whenever a situation comes up in a debate, is just kind of have a follow-up and saying, hey, this is a video of you saying the opposite, and back in say 1998 or back in 2015 or back in whatever. But there's that video snippet there, so people actually see it, because when people actually see something where they're actually saying something on camera, and then all of a sudden this debate is happening and they're saying the opposite, is like, so what like, why do we really believe your current answer?
Exactly. It's like watching football. They can pull you up a clip of a player 16 games ago in a game with a different team doing something that they want to point out just happened on the field. They can do that like that.
Yeah.
There's no reason that they can't turn around have these video clips that they know pertain to their subjects and know it's going to be maybe a trap they fall into to keep it there, to run it. So that, like he's saying, I think that there can be a way to
maybe a bullshit buzzer. Maybe one side has a bullshit buzzer and gets to call it, and you get like 3 strikes. And if you call the bullshit and they show the clip of where you did it, then you get a point. And maybe we put like a
point about score. What about that? What about keeping score? What about like you get 5 points off, or you get 5 points for, I don't know, like I don't know, like kind of like Larry Wilmore.
Yeah.
And the winner gets done. So here's what I think Ben's trying to get across. I'm just analyzing him a lot, but here's the thing. It should be, in a sense, a spectacle is not a bad idea. The thing is we have BlizzCon, we have Comic-Con, we have MarvelCon, we have thousands and thousands. I mean, there's 100,000 people at BlizzCon, Blizzard Games. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Yeah, and they go to these conventions and they're gigantic, and it has nothing to do with the future of the country or the planet or it exploding. All it has to deal with is pixels on a screen of games or movies or cosplay or whatever. But the biggest problem that we have on our planet is our focus is on stupid shit. Our focus is on things that pertain to really nothing of any relevance or anything that's going to be beneficial for us now or in the future, in the far future. So Ben's actually got a good point. He wants to bring Lady Gaga on some arm wrestling. He's actually saying just boost it, to make it more appeasing to a larger mass of people, larger demographic. Let's say
that's what you're doing for that purpose. But then you have the principle. I guess if it's like one of those ins, I always hate those. So I don't like ins justify the means. I don't like that.
I mean,
I think if you just made the whole feed, if you just made the feed like a C-SPAN feed where anybody could use it, so it's just a pull feed. so that if a comedian wanted to talk over the entire fucking thing, they can, live. But
That should be on C-SPAN.
I watched that in the
they could just sort of chop it up as they go, but but everybody could do their own thing kind of thing.
So
and it wouldn't,
Well,
so
here's the thing: is everyone can be their own commentator, right? So we have the debate in the structure that's set. But say you can watch it from anyone's feed. So you can watch it from Jimmy Dore's feed. You can watch it from
yeah, and make it.
Yeah. So while it's going on, you got the comedian saying, "Oh, that's bullshit," or all this other stuff, or like you got Hard Bastard saying, "Oh, this guy's a cuck. This guy's the motherfucker." Right.
Well, that's whatever your bag is, you could sit there and listen to them and see what their arguments are.
I mean, because that's pretty much what it is these days with the internet. You just restream what's currently going on, and you give your say. And people tune into that.
I think it'd be better if they were all together, like 8 of them. 8 of them are all together in one room.
But
watching
people could watch it without
actually done afterwards, like on a recorded thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So
or maybe
people.
Maybe the debate isn't live. Maybe the debate isn't live.
No, it's live. So basically, people can watch the debate straight up, so they don't have any of the other interactions, or they could watch it on someone else's feed where they're just restreaming it live. And they're giving their comments while it's going on. People love that stuff, and so you've got a lot of ways you can do it. And
yeah, and when it was I'm pretty sure when it was the League of Women Voters, it was that way.
Yeah.
Any network could use the feed,
and
so that it was on every channel.
Yeah.
Right. If they're good debates, they'll be on every channel.
Yeah. And all right. Well. I was gonna say, and you can just add up the numbers. So everyone who's watching it just live or watching any of those channels that are restreaming it, you can have a good number of who's watching it, and I think that can be just more potent than just saying, "Hey."
And you know what? That would interrupt this establishment too. They would have to kind of answer to that because of all these different feeds getting their traffic with their.
What if for our district? What if for our district we had like a numerous round elimination tournament, or how do you call that? And so you have to win and keep winning against your opponents in brackets or something, and it's a 16 round. I don't know, 100 participants, and you have to debate your way to the top, and then the last 5 people are voted on. You debate your way to work out the top 5, and then out of those 5, then there's a vote on the spot. So everybody tunes in.
You can't make it into a game, Ben. The ultimate contest is the election night.
I'm just being kind of sarcastic.
No, but it's the spirit of that to get people involved, to be their interest, to be in it that much. That's what I'm saying. Even let's go to fucking Vegas, do this shit, and then make Vegas start taking bets on who's going to win this debate. It's all about pop. I'm saying when I say pop culture, it's about having certain cats with. With the right.
Okay, MTV.
Art Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that wants to. They got all these followers. Akon. Somebody that can make something. If it's done hip and raw, and you have everything from the art direction to camera work to everything has to be state of the art and done by people expert.
Where did this go? I think. Didn't Eban say Dave Chappelle? Dave Chappelle, that's because Dave Chappelle is serious enough. Would Dave Chappelle really want us to go to Vegas? Dave Chappelle is a really awesome dude, and he'd be a good mix because he's got popular appeal, but he's also a really awesome dude. I think shoot a free later.
If we just had the rights to just have the debate and take it and play a section of it, and the little Brady Bunch we got here can be circled around that video clip playing, and we can all make faces and yell and scream and then wait and then actually hit our mics on and talk about it after, stop it so that we can discuss what just happened.
Okay, what about this?
I think that us just as a group, if we just had like a TiVo version of it and could stop it and say, explain why we all thought somebody answered a question was bullshit or
I
they
think
didn't.
here's what would be reasonably broken is if like you had a regular guy asking or girl asking the questions, right? And like interview or the person asked the debate. What's he called? Like the person holding the debate, the moderator, asking questions, and it's however we get the hopefully intelligent questions. But then there's like a Brady Bunch panel there. But the thing that makes it fair, I think, would be is if we all watch it, but we only had one time that we could say something. So we all had like this one button we could push. Like there's only one time that we could use it. We could like have like this one ability to one time within the debate to interrupt and say, "Hey, wait a second." Or like like if we want to do that, like Mike Figueredo put on a like what the like kind of like a whoa, like have that happen, like you get like one time, like, so like have like 8 people, each one gets to have like one point where they get to ask a question of their own. I don't know.
Okay.
So
I think we can all.
Let for a second talk. She hasn't talked for a while.
I just said this is getting to sound like idiocracy. You have to entertain them to even get them to watch. But another thing I wanted to bring up earlier, and I didn't get to say, was I noticed on a lot of the debates, everybody got different questions. They need, on the primary questions, to ask everybody the same question. And they didn't do a lot of that during the debates.
Which debates, the Democratic one or the Republican one?
More the Democratic one. The Democratic one more than the Republican. I only watched a couple of the Republican ones. And they did kind of go down the line with some of the questions there, but they did it less on the Democratic debate.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
I mean, yeah, it sucks to make it too comedic, but I mean, you can add in some comedy towards it. Like, imagine they're gonna present a question, and then someone does a parody of like the Oscars. They invite like 2 stars. They open up a letter and say, "All right, this question." Or someone else does like a question in the form of an answer, like a Jeopardy question, so they have to answer it with a question or something.
And have Alex Trebek read it off.
Yeah. Anyways, it could be done, but it has to be really short. So people see the question, they laugh, and then they hear the answers, and then. So
I think you should have to. I think if we did the Brady Bunch thing, you got to take a bong hit or a shot to be able to. And then you can ask a question.
Or it's like the 70s. Or it's like
a Snoop debate.
Or you do a 70s show, so they're in a circle, and then the camera just kind of pans around in the circle until they're.
You make them dress up in 70s outfits too. It's like a
yes, we can all go.
No, but I was thinking.
This is my question. Do you
having
feel
the
like
debate,
you're in a box?
Having some in some of the small towns to raise money for those towns. You know what I mean? Maybe an auditorium or maybe whatever, somewhere that we could, do a live filming or something like that. And does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I think if people saw this, they would want it. They would probably pay to contribute to have it hosted, and then like have Cheech Marin ask the question about would you legalize marijuana? Just someone notable like that. And
that would be the guy.
And that's the campaign to get people to donate. If we can get those people to maybe we can get them to do a little spot, because that's all it is. We could raise money to pay them to do a little spot for the debate. I mean,
get more people viewing it. Yeah, I mean it would be an effort because it's.
Oh, what about Donald Trump debating Cheech Marin? I mean, if that was the thing, if that was like 30 minutes of unadulterated.
Oh, imagine someone could have a timeout and they could bring in anyone that's in the panel that asks questions to answer for them, so that they have like a sub. So they can have a sub come in at any time saying, I don't have an answer because I don't know the subject well enough, but I like this guy because I follow him, I read about him, so I want him to answer in my place. So you could have something like that as well, because then you get to see who your leader is going to choose to represent a policy you don't know anything about, and why they're picking that person. Because I mean, if you're going to have a dumb answer because you don't know it, might as well just say it, but know that you're going to pick the right person to answer for you.
Right. That you it may not be a subject that you're an expert on, because we're all ignorant to something, but to know how to find the right people to get the answer from. That's I mean, that's an important part in life anyways. Who to listen to giving you advice about whatever. Like, we listen to the wrong people. We make a lot of decisions based upon opinions that somebody's given, like, when we were like 5 years old. It's
So like a phone a friend thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I can see where he Cheech Marin's. By the way, Cheech Marin's politics are a little farther right than anybody knows. But had Cheech and Chong asking a question about legalizing marijuana, and then clicking over to some doctor in Israel that's been doing research on it to say, oh no, that isn't true, And we have these research papers that says that what you're saying about marijuana isn't true. So
Yeah, panel of experts.
Having somebody that I like that, being able to sort of like professional wrestling, that there's always like, for the big events, there's always somebody like Mr. T or somebody comes in to wrestle, but they don't wrestle as much. They go in there and they play, they do a couple moves, and then they tag out to the Hulkster or somebody to come in and do all the big ass moves,
Well, you got to be careful not to make it too campy, because you want people to feel
I mean, you already brought hee-haw into this. Now, if we're going to get it across, we're going to get it across the mirror.
It's not a show for that. It's a quick moment of comedic, like breaking of the ice. That's all it is. You don't make the whole thing a whole comedy tour or parody of our electorate voting system.
Right.
Anyways,
laughing.
Anyways, I think that'll be it for tonight. This has been going on for 4 hours now. So no anything goes. Maybe we'll do anything goes tomorrow if there's something like if Tim does Truth Tuesdays on 4th of July.
Yeah, we'll talk about how fantastic this country has become.
Yeah.
And celebrate its Independence Day.
And I think Tim is probably going to get his 100,000th subscriber on 4th of July, Independence Day, which would be cool. So he might do a video. I mean, if there's going to be a video to do, I think that would be the way to
awesome.
do it. All right, so
is everybody sharing? Please, is everybody sharing the show, or is it just me?
Just you.
I think I forgot to tonight.
Are you guys understand what?
I'm sharing.
I'm going to have a full hour of marketing and advertising next time. Aloha.
I don't want to control.
Share the show. Share it however you can.
Hey, look.
I've told a few good friends, and I think sometimes if you want people to tune into something, that's the best way to do it. It's not by throwing it at thousands of people that aren't really that interested. It's throwing it at 2 or 3 people that you really know and that like you and trust you and will actually listen to it and take an interest, because then they're more likely to tell a few friends that they really know and trust. And it just referral system type stuff. It's just
one-on-one is better. I'm not just throwing it out there. I'm going one-on-one. Yeah.
I think I was thinking of some people I would maybe want to ask to come participate, because I think just diversity of opinions and as a Republican friend of mine. Not only share it for people to watch more, but for more people to participate, because like I said.
By the quick, Tim Black is 3 subscribers away from 100,000 right now. So he's almost there.
Holy shit!
I'm gonna do it like the puzzle piece. You take
get it for him.
To it, unfollow and then follow back.
All right, good night, you guys.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Later, guys. Peace.
Later.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody in chat.